radius of that thing. You know? Like, you are going to die.
I'm not sure if canes were actually supposed to be thermonuclear devices. I think the explanation in the lore was that it's just a really, really fast-moving projectile that had the impact, which looked like a small thermonuclear device. I don't know
Oh yeah,
exactly.
it probably doesn't have the radiological effects of a nuke, yeah, but it's still going to have the same concussion effect. You know, so
It's a nuke.
it's a nuke. Just it's a nuke light. That's what it is. It's nuke zero.
Okay, we're here, guys. Thanks for coming. This is myself and UDP again, as always, talking about Mass Effect. And we just were witness to a new defense of, I guess, the series as a whole, not just the ending, but specifically the ending we're going to be looking at. It's a very long move or video on YouTube. It's about 2 hours long, and we're skipping to the ending part. And believe me, that is, I mean, we're cutting only a quarter, if not that, of the runtime of this thing. And for Chris Davis, he puts a lot of effort into that. He talks a lot of ideas, and he has a lot of positive and negative things to say about the game, and that's great. And some of them are just really, really wrong. And I'd love to take the time with you guys, and you could probably ask me some questions or answer some for us as we go, and hopefully leave us a little bit more sane than when we first viewed this. I didn't see it all. I had to turn it off a few times because it was just that disconcerting. But hey, we've done this for years. We're experts in our field. I hope we don't miss anything. We probably will.
Yeah,
But
we're mentally traumatically broken people anyway, so we should be up for
we
this.
should be on par with everyone else in the audience watching. So let's get started. Actually, no, we're not going to get started. We're going to jump to, what is the
Yeah,
43? Yeah,
yeah, I
43.
figured something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So around
either
here.
on Earth with you or accessible, sacrificing their lives for the greater good, and Thane saying goodbye to his son while finding time to say a prayer for your own soul, I can't help but strongly disagree that there's a drop in quality.
Goliath. Why did the last verse say she?
The prayer was not for him, Commander. He has already asked forgiveness for the lives he has taken. His wish was for you.
These moments could have fallen flat. A character death isn't automatically impactful without good writing, but these moments hit hard because the writing is still fantastic in places. And on that positive note, let's talk about the ending.
Okay, so yeah, there are some good parts to Mass Effect 3. I'm not denying that. There are some dramatic parts. Some of them don't care for them. There are some banal parts. There are all sorts. It's a mixed bag, Mass Effect 3. It's great, it's bad, and it's horrifically bad in one certain scenario, and this is what we're going to talk about. So,
Yep.
I'm going to give a brief summary of how things end in case you've forgotten or simply never played it. After attacking Cerberus, Shepard discovers that the catalyst is in fact the Citadel itself. This marks the second time the Citadel has been part of the big reveal, with the other being the discovery that it was to be used to open the door for the initial Reaper invasion back in the first game. The Reapers had been hoping to keep this a secret, but now that the secret of the Citadel is out of the bag, the Reapers close it up and transport it to Earth. Yes, it does seem a bit strange that the Citadel can move to Earth so easily, but with all that Mass Effect technology out there, I can live with it, and we aren't told that it can't move. There's a Doctor Who episode where
Yeah, why not just move it to any location? Like, you know how the Crucible has been like hidden for ages? Like, why didn't they just kind of move it to somewhere else? Or keep it still and just lock off the relay like what Sovereign did in Mass Effect 1? Like, remember that? Does anyone remember that? Does anyone in Mass Effect 3 remember that?
and why do they care if it's a secret now if they're going to reap the galaxy? Like, why
Yeah,
don't
everyone's going to be dead.
why don't they just take full advantage of using the Citadel as they always have for billions of years, and now they're changing their game plan for whatever reason? That's just assumed. It's like, don't worry about it.
the TARDIS literally tows the Earth back to our solar system. This is nothing. The Crucible was transported to Earth as well.
No, you can't use one science fiction represent what happens in one science fiction to use in another. It doesn't work that way, mate.
Yeah, people do this all the time. They justify, well, Star Trek does this or Star Wars does this. It's like, well, okay, yeah, your brain is going to be used to it because you've read or experienced other science fiction, And they could be a space opera, they could be hard science fiction, they could be all sorts of things. But that's not an argument to be made about the actual story you're observing. So,
yeah, it does make me wonder, because the Citadel is it 44 kilometers long or something like that?
It's gigantic.
Yeah, but a standard in fact, all mass relays are 15 kilometers long. So it's like, imagine being towed that thing in the mass relay. It's like, how the hell am I going to calculate that thing?
That's a good question. Yeah, you have to input the exact measurements of whatever the thing you're transporting, so the mass relay can then figure out what kind of corridor to open and then how to throw you a certain distance and all these other things. On top of that, we're talking about the Charon relay. Was that being controlled? Like, they have full control over everything. So
Yeah, they've won.
it's like, why are we going through all this effort? What's the point?
You can't use the Reaper IFF thing, because that only worked on the Omega 4 relay for whatever reason, and you don't think the Reapers would update their password? Like, oh, we're just going to go, there you go, password change now, no one can do anything. It's so contrived. I mean, I think we've gone beyond contrived at the moment.
Right, and the only defense we have is that, well, Edie is also part of the IFF, and she has these security passwords, and she can break through or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe one or two, but not every Reaper who is a supercomputer that has been around for billions of years and sees as little ants trying to hack them as a joke. So, I don't know. You're doing a lot of stretches here when the story has already gone into bizarre territory. And unless it's outlined or explained, or there's some conflict being available to be made to the audience saying, oh, yeah, this is a thing that we can't do, and this is a thing which is happening right now. And like, we're talking about gods here. We're talking about literal machine gods just doing shit. And you're like, oh, this is a thing now. Okay. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the Citadel just broke into 3 pieces and started circling the Earth. You'd be like, what the hell? Why? How? Like, they could do that because they're machine gods. But if the story doesn't explain that,
Yeah.
you sit there going, okay, what crazy thing's next?
So now we just need to hook the Crucible up to the Citadel and see what happens. The Citadel is closed up to resemble a bullet, I guess, and
What is that exactly?
I hope that's a pen.
I think so. Let's go
I
with
really hope so, because if not, your channel's going to get so demonetized.
Yeah.
the only way in is via a Reaper beam on Earth that is teleporting people directly into the Citadel as part of the Reaper's harvesting of humanity. Before the climax,
it's off.
Sorry.
The beam's off, and it's on again. It's off again, and it's on again. It's a light switch of beamy goodness.
Sometimes we like it, sometimes we not. We just like to turn it on and off all the time. It's just the elevator to whenever we feel like it.
I think some of the Reapers are actually like Malkavians, and they just like flicking that switch on and off.
Okay.
talk to all your companions who are either on Earth with you or accessible via a long distance phone call. It's a nice moment, and given the events at the end of Mass Effect 2, you know there's a very real chance you might never speak to them again. It's not the same as directly fighting alongside them all, but I enjoyed it as a way to say goodbye to some friends. I've already mentioned the big Earth battle.
Oh,
it's not...
interesting thought. The bit where you talk to all your friends and what have you, even the Mass Effect 2 people, wasn't actually going to be included into the final product. They weren't going to put it in.
Yeah, they were going to not even include the whole scene where you just regroup, where you have that speech. That whole section was an afterthought. Yeah. And then they threw in that strange turret scene for
gameplay. We have a turret section there.
Everything's nice and quiet. Okay, calm before the storm. Awesome. Wait a second, let's shoot shit. You're like, what? Why?
It's like someone played Halo back in like 2001, was like, hang on, we can do this now in 2012. Good job, BioWare. You got a turret section.
Didn't they already have a turret section on Rannoch when that Spider Reaper? It's like, that was useless. Let's do another useless scene. Thanks.
There's actually a few. There's one where you have to rescue the Admiral if you want to get the good ending. Or one of the, if you can rescue him, then you have basically a scene where you're firing, like you're basically like killing off Reaper or whatever forces around as he's trying to get to an extraction point.
Oh, that was the Turian homeworld, I think.
No, that was Rannoch again.
Oh, it was also Rannoch. Really?
Yeah, it was an optional mission. You're basically literally on the side of a shuttlecraft shooting dudes.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Largely disappointing. There's one vaguely cinematic moment where you're running to the beam, but cutscenes kick in just as it gets tense. Shepard makes it to the beam and is transported.
Whoa, what a jump. Okay. We went from running to the beam and then we're walking up to the beam. Okay.
To the Citadel, as is Anderson. The Illusive Man is here as well. This scene is memorable for all the wrong reasons. It's a mess.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
He admits it's a mess. Thank you. It is a literal mess and a mess. Okay.
Yeah, like people have said in the chat, he can be hit or miss. And he does some good things, and sometimes you just kind of go, really? Really?
Well, we skipped the entire extended cut scenario. I'm guessing he's getting to that. So,
For starters, I have no idea how Anderson got in this room. He seems to have been teleported up to the Citadel at the same time as Shepard, although I don't know how he managed that either. And he describes arriving in a different place. However, there's only one entry into this room, so Shepard and Anderson should have been able to see each other. The Illusive Man's arrival at least makes a little more sense, given that he's clearly been indoctrinated by the Reapers. We already knew this, or at least strongly suspected it, because back on Thessia, the Prothean AI referred to Kai Leng as being indoctrinated. It doesn't take a huge leap to assume the Illusive Man is as well. He also upgraded himself with some Reaper technology, which is uncharacteristically stupid for him. From the experiments Cerberus conducted on Grayson in the books, the Illusive Man should know full well that Reapers can take control of humans once they have Reaper tech in them. Either by suicide or Shepard killing him, the Illusive Man dies and you get one final moment with Anderson. It's a short conversation, but a special one nonetheless. Anderson was the one who recommended you for the position of Spectre. He was one of the few people to trust you implicitly when no one else was ready to accept the truth about the Reapers. He also played a major role in 4 novels and has enough in his past that there are likely 10 other books that could be written about him. My only wish is that he'd been more involved in the second game instead of having Shepard take her orders from the Illusive Man. Anderson dies from his injuries, but not before telling Shepard he's proud of her.
We're almost through this.
You did good, child. You did good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
It's another perfectly handled death scene that shows BioWare still had plenty of talented writers on board.
all right, that's a bit of hyperbole. I wouldn't say it's perfectly handled. It's actually somewhat sappy considering the believability of the scene you're in, like the platform of where they're sitting. This comes out of nowhere. You don't know how you're breathing air. You don't know what room or what part of this place you're in. You don't know the configuration, like everything. Like, he got shot. What the hell? Where did Tim come from? Like, there's all these questions already running through your brain. And all of a sudden, hey, let's talk about to him about this dying man and how he's able to sit upright with no back support after getting shot in the gut. I mean, it's just like, okay, yeah, we'll just go with all this. And purple frickin' biotics which control your brain. Like, what the hell is going on?
When most people talk about hating the ending, it's everything that happens after Anderson's death that they are referring to.
No. It's everything leading up. And actually the whole level. I think the whole level had problems.
I think it's Earth in general, is it? Yeah.
Well, the premise, yeah, of course. We keep talking about the premise till look at every bloody premise of the story and go, okay, at this beginning ending part, then we're on Rannoch. And, okay, this is stupid. Why are we even doing this shit? We're all gonna die. Like, everything doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this is where we get into insane territory. And
here we go.
never mind where Shepard's hand gets chopped off and all this other nonsense.
Shepard is near death herself when the floor raises her up to the top of the Citadel with all the religious subtlety of Superman floating in space with his...
I don't know where he's getting this. Is Shepard making a crucifix symbol?
I don't know. I think he was trying to make a try not to shit yourself while dying kind of symbol.
Yeah, I think he's reaching, just like how you said with explaining a Doctor Who scenario, that because the TARDIS can do this, well, I think he's also pulling from his knowledge of other stories and it's like, yep, it's like this. It's like, no, it's not at all.
Isn't that one of the things that what Patrick Weeks was talking about when we did that video? And he was like, we want a scene from a movie and we want to try and put that in our game. And it's like, no, there's no. What was he talking about now? Was it the Black Widow? Black Widow talking to the Congress in Civil War, was it?
It was two movies, yeah. But yeah. And that's fine as an inspiration to to drive you to make something like that, but there's literally no connection between this random scene in a Superman movie where he looks like Jesus because he spreads his arms in a cross. It's like he could have spread his arms in a diamond. It does, like what
YMCA.
Yeah, it's like what? Okay, sure, Superman. Let's go with that.
Arms outstretched in Man of Steel. Shepard is greeted by an AI who's taken the form of the child Shepard saw die back on Earth and later dreamt about. We finally get the big reveal. The reason why the Reapers kill off all civilized life forms every 50,000 years. The AI was created by an unknown race millions of years ago with the remit of ensuring the future of organic life in the galaxy. From witnessing countless species evolve, the AI came to the conclusion that all organic life eventually creates synthetic life, which in turn always ends up going to war with its creators. And this war would eventually wipe out all organic life in the universe. Therefore, the AI decided to eliminate developed organic life forms and synthetics before the problem became so big that it would cause the extinction of all organic life entirely.
Yeah, by killing them themselves and turning them into inorganic cyborg goo things. What a great plan. Glad you guys are here.
You know what's really funny is that if they didn't build the mass relays, then synthetics won't dominate the entire galaxy because they will be traveling at sub FTL speeds.
And they never move,
yeah. So every race, in actual fact, once again, if you remove the mass relays from that, species will be locked within their own specific regions. And if your goal is to police them, well, you've got an entire freaking armada of Reapers. That can be like, I think we said this once again ages ago, it's like, you guys building synthetics, good, keep it up, and you just keep monitoring them. You just patrol them.
And let's not forget the dealing of the theme that we already dealt with on Rannoch with the three endings. You deal with the Geth. The Geth either like you and you side with them and kill the Quarians. You either destroy them all by siding with the Quarians, or you get everyone along. Everyone gets together. Everyone's happy. Everyone's like, hey, let's do our programming and work together like we were supposed to. And okay, great.
But like this whole notion of like, oh, synthetics will always come. It's like, right, okay, we have one example in the Mass Effect world of synthetics attacking organics, the Geth and Quarians. But no one mentions the Rachni being annihilated, the Krogans being virtually sterilized, and numerous countless wars amongst organics amongst themselves. It's mostly organics doing the killing against other. That's no problem at all. Just ignore the fact that they're using thermonuclear weaponry on each other. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and again, if we look at any instance of the Geth doing anything bad, it's because of the Reapers. We found the schism in Mass Effect 2 that there were two groups of Geth, one of them who sided with the Reapers, and they're the bad Geth. So we know the reason why we have any instance in the story of synthetic organisms doing anything bad, aside from some minor instances of an individual AI trying to be free and blowing stuff up, is of the Reapers' involvement. So if the Reapers never were involved in the events of Mass Effect, there would be no problem.
The AI created the Reapers to do the legwork and decided on a 50,000 year cycle. If this logic sounds absolutely insane, then well, we'll get to that. But in the meantime, it's worth remembering that Reapers do not kill all organic life. Humans existed the last time the Reapers arrived, and
but they eventually will. I mean, that's like, they don't do it, but to them it's like, oh, we'll wait another 50,000 years? Okay, yeah, sure, we'll be back next time.
Wiped out the Protheans, as did an early form of the Hanar, the Asari, and the Rachni. The AI believes that the creation of synthetic life eventually leads to the extinction of all organic life and sees its solution as a preferable alternative. The AI then gives Shepard a choice of 4 options. First, she can destroy the Reapers, however doing so would also kill all the Geth and EDI because they have Reaper tech in them, as does Shepard herself.
Yeah, this just happens just because. There's no actual lore explanation. Well, first off, why is this even offering these options to us?
Yeah, this is...
Why? He didn't... Oh yeah, we really need a human's help here. It's like, why? You're super brilliant. You've been doing this for billions of years. What is an amoeba going to add to your collective knowledge of how this all works? Because we have this device that we slammed into the Citadel for you to figure out. It's like, oh, we need a human to help us here. What are we going to do?
We need someone to hit Control Alt Del.
Yeah.
You know?
Or just break it. Oh, you made this thing? Can you break it for us? Can you kill us all? Oh, you can? Thank you. Go right ahead. Here you go.
Man, if you actually shoot the kid with the extended cut on, the kid wigs out on you and just goes, I'm going to wipe everything out. But yeah, it's perfectly fine letting you kill out all repair.
So, okay. Thank you, Mr. Psychology of AI, whatever that means.
Yes.
Second, Shepard can opt to control the Reapers. We don't get much information on how this works.
You don't get much information on anything. It just happens. You could do it. We're space gods. We just do stuff with a technology we never even thought of that just came out of nowhere, and we know exactly how it works.
Shepard would die, but her spirit would somehow be incorporated into the AI.
Her spirit.
Spirit?
Yeah, we're now talking about romanticizing the mind in this post-Descartesian dualism concept where the mind is the soul. Now we have something called the spirit. I mean, this has only been talked to in small examples of like the Turians, of some spiritual, like it's been very, very small in Mass Effect where they talk about religion or whatever. And even the idea of this child is possibly a hallucination or possibly some crazy event in Shepard's brain. It's like we're not clear what's going on. And for him to say, it's Shepard's essence, Shepard's spirit, Shepard's soul. It's like, no, dude. Just don't throw those words around and expect us to understand what you're talking about.
Sorry, someone's saying a question saying, what would the Star Shard have done if Shepard had died from their wounds? It's just like, hello? Is anyone else down there? We keep beaming them up and we keep liquidating them. I don't know why. It's just...
Well, I thought his arm would have got chopped off, or his leg or foot, and he would just bleed out. And he'd be like, I can't walk. Struggling to get to the freaking... not even... You can't even do the blue thing anymore because your hand is chopped off. You'd have to, like, fall over the edge. And even if you fell, you wouldn't have enough running start to launch yourself into the beam. You just fall straight down. Maybe a flicker of blood would like hit the beam. Maybe that would be enough. Who knows? Oh, this is so silly.
No one else would die under this scenario. Third, Shepard can merge organic and synthetic life by rewriting the DNA of everyone in the galaxy, so that everyone becomes part synthetic.
And every synthetic becomes part organic. Somehow.
I think they changed that in the extended cut. They basically said that, they just have the understanding of organics. When nobody, it's like organics don't understand organics. We don't understand each other. So how can we have the knowledge to understand, but you don't have the...
And you're talking about you're talking about the galaxy. You're talking about every living thing suddenly downloading that information of understanding into synthetics. It's like, how?
I know. And let's not even get the fact that you're not just rewriting the DNA. It's like, how can you give energy? Like, you're sending out information, but it's just information. The body can only make an organic component. Unless you are injecting silicon into that, they're not going to be able to make a CPU or a nanomachine or anything like that. It's so... this is absolutely batshit insane. It's like, what if, let's say, there's a moon, when the energy beam comes over, what if there's a moon in the way? Well, the moon's going to absorb most of that, so the energy is going to go over the planet. It's just insane.
And we're talking about like tens of thousands of light years, and the galaxy being roughly 100,000, and how these explosions work through matter and through space and time, and travel faster than light. And when you see that overview, we'll probably get to it when we see the overview of the explosions. Like, the speed that light is or that energy is traveling is so beyond our understanding. And
that's another thing as well, is can energy be transferred through a relay? Because it's only mass. It's like, you can send radio signals through and things like that for communication purposes, but you're talking like an unquantifiable amount of energy being sent through there. So,
right, which is not being calculated, I guess. And when we understand how relays work, they open up massless corridors, so there's nothing in them. There's nothing to, you're just, like,
yeah,
like there's nothing there. So what is actually being transmitted? We don't like. There's so many questions that pop up, especially with synthesis, which also happens with destruction because we're targeting only Reaper or AI tech or synthetic tech, which could be anything from a pacemaker to a peg leg to a supercomputer. Like we don't know. It's so vague, and it's just horrible. It's just this horrible generic, oh yeah, press the button, stuff happens. It's like, no.
It's the spray on cheese science fiction equivalent.
Yeah, this is so bad. The only way they would have fixed it is if they removed it in the extended cut, but they didn't.
Nope, they didn't. They doubled down,
and they did the thing that Walters said originally to Casey, like, we got to explain this, we got to explain that. And Casey's like, no, they don't need to know how long the Reapers have been. They don't need to know all this stuff. It's like, and they do that anyway. They threw all that crap in there, and it still didn't help.
This would prevent there ever being a war between synthetics and organics because everyone would be part synthetic.
How? Wars are usually fought over. Okay, you've got resources now. That side wants those resources, but that side isn't relinquishing those resources. What do you think is going to happen? Military. If no one's going to stop it, there's going to be a military conflict between the two. Just because it's like, once again, it doesn't matter whether something's synthetic or synthetic or organic versus organic. There's going to be conflict if something has a need for something, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They could have, the Rachni could have just killed everyone. And it's like, okay, are the Rachni going to build synthetics? No.
Yeah, the big drone-like bug species is going to build a synthetic group. Like, what?
Like, why would they could? How? They could, but it's like, why would they? They're already amazing. They're powerful. They can communicate telepathically. They teach everyone with music. I mean, it's amazing society. Why would they? What would they improve?
Yeah. They invented the glockenspiel. They're on the path to synthetic life. We need to destroy them.
They can't play with that instrument. We need to make an artificial life form to play as guitar music. Our fingers aren't compatible.
They're actually playing Guitar Hero.
Again, this would kill Shepard, but no one else would die. Finally, you can tell the AI to get stuffed and watch as the Reapers destroy Earth and the rest of developed life in the galaxy. Regardless of your choice, a few details of the ending vary depending on your effective military strength when you started the battle. The size of your army dictates whether Earth survives the battle and in what condition, and whether the crew of the Normandy survives. When you look at all the possibilities, there are about 10 different endings. You then get a bunch of it.
You know, I just realized they could have made the lightest, most unintelligent ending and just focused on drama and your choice of doing X and flashbacks and all that little stuff that people actually care about. And you know what? It might actually be watchable. I'd be like, well, that's really contrived. Everything just blew up and everyone survived. Wow. But because they went this route of explaining it so poorly, that we have all these problems.
Yeah.
If it was just a weapon that blew all the Reapers away, you'd be like, wow, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but you know, that's what you were trying to make anyway. And the Reapers were like, oh, well, here's the button. You press it. And you're like, that's stupid. He's an idiot. Who is this kid? And it's like, yeah, at least it would make sense. And we'd be connecting on something on some small dramatic level without having this baggage of all those other questions that pop up.
Yeah, and plus as well, like, Mass Effect 3 goes against what BioWare have always done, which is your choices are usually rounded up in the ending sequence itself. Like, you usually have the final, I wouldn't say the final boss thing, but you usually have like a final showdown, and then you have the reflection. Like, Origins is probably the best example of that. You know, it kind of goes, and this is what this happened, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. And you kind of go, okay, that's cool. And then they just ended up, Mass Effect 2 and 3 actually ended up breaking that kind of style for some reason, and I don't know why.
It's the case as if the writers or writing team wanted to impose their ideas without understanding why they were doing that, or not thinking it through, and just going, okay, we got to solve this, we got to give something, so let's just get all of our ideas that sound good and slam them together.
Yeah, I think there was, as well, there's a bit of envy. Like I know Mac Walters was very enamored with the Uncharted series, so he wanted larger set pieces. Like he was more into set piece design, which is why Mass Effect 3 is basically filled with those stupid things that you see from modern military shooters. You know, the one where you hit X to press off the fireworks, but EA, under EA's umbrella, they don't actually understand it. Like, you know, the bit with Rannoch where you with the laser, the one where before the Reaper is,
right.
The one where the Normandy basically hits it with a missile, and then it's like, oh, poo, it's a Reaper kind of thing. You can actually sit there for ages and nothing will happen. And that's a classic thing that happened in the Medal of Honor reboot as well. You could just sit there for like 10 hours straight doing nothing. Whereas you compare that to Call of Duty. Yes, Call of Duty is a very bro shooter kind of thing, but at least it gives you things to do as the set piece is going on. The enemy's shooting at you, advancing on you, you can shoot back at them. There's things to do. Whereas this one's just like, yeah, just stick your thumb up your ass and do nothing for the next 10 hours and nothing will change.
Yeah, they really focused on the cinematic idea, or those quick time events that were not technically quick time events, even though they're using the alert or the interrupt system. So they slow down time, and that's kind of what they did with the soldier class, where he has adrenaline, where everything just slows down. So they use these techniques to have this more, I guess, interactive experience or cinematic feel. And it ends up screwing stuff up. Like, I'm not saying it's bad, because in some cases, like on Tuchanka, where you could actually shoot more than in the back, that was like, oh, this is really like this. My last resort. This is all I can do. That has a dramatic impact. Fine, great, but it's also broken in certain cases. If you have a new game plus or whatever, and you're starting over, and you have that cool sticky bomb gun, and Edie's, and or whatever the doctor's name is coming at you, and the game forces you to use that gun, and you start firing, and because there's a delay in the bomb, then you always lose because Dr. Eva comes by and kills you. So it's like they have these ideas, and they didn't actually plan it out, or they didn't actually figure out what that means to the rest of the game. So there's a lot of rushing that it feels like it's stapled together. It's connected, but it's stapled.
That is actually true. 'Cause, I'm trying to find the script of where they were talking about the development of Mass Effect 3, and Mac Walters basically just, it wasn't Mac Walters, there was a few other people as well. They changed story direction in the middle of development, and this, they only had 18 months to develop, and they were like, we don't like this thing, let's just rewrite it. And so like they already did all this work, and then they had to redo all of it. So they literally like square peg round hole in it, So that's why everything feels so stitched, because they literally were flying on by the seat of their pants, all because of one idiot went, I don't like this, let's make this character DLC. It's like brilliant, good job.
And the parts of the story that do work are the ones where they actually had to do work and look at your choices and say, oh, what can we do with these choices? We want some payoff, and that's Tuchanka and Rannoch. Those are the two main highlights of the game. Everything else is like, why? Yeah, little choices here and there with Kaylee Sanders, that whole mission, and whether you save the guy in the DLC or not. It's like, yeah, they're okay. But you have to actually deal with the choice. The whole point of Mass Effect 3 was to see the culmination of your choices and what they meant. And when you have the ending, which is supposed to be the peak, everything comes together, and you get this. This is where you realize they were in over their heads. They didn't know what they were doing. They were trying their best to slam things together, and they kept doing it to fit it in, and this is what we got.
Images showing the consequences of earlier decisions, such as Krogan with babies if you cured the genophage, Samara with her last surviving daughter, and your name potentially being added to the wall of dead crew members on board the Normandy. There's only one outcome where Shepard survives, and that is if you opt to destroy the Reapers and have an effective military strength of roughly 3,000. This number used to be a lot higher, and without the DLC it was tricky to achieve. Few players of the original would have seen this ending. If you do, you see a quick glimpse of Shepard breathing amidst the rubble. So that's it. That's the infamous ending to Mass Effect 3.
Well, he's skipping a lot of things, like the explosions and all the speeches and like all these other things that happen. It just, okay, the DLC adds to it, but it still just expands on what's already there. It's still just as broken. Like, you can say, oh, there's a denouement now. Well, there is some scenes. There's a bigger slideshow presentation. but it doesn't
No context.
explain anything. It doesn't explain how they got to that point. It's basically they just did a giant time skip of who knows, because Krogan's lived for a long time, and Sorry lived for a long time. Oh, there's Miranda. She's looking up at the stars. Great. Okay. Can you be more vague? Like what?
There's a lot to discuss, but first I should point out something obvious. You are allowed to dislike the ending. Nothing I say from here on out means you can't have your own opinion on it. I don't love the ending myself, I just don't hate it either. There's also...
You have no opinion on the ending, really. He doesn't like it, he doesn't hate it, but he's defending it. Okay. It's a neutral ending to him. Bad writing, good writing, it's an ending.
So a crucial difference between the idea and the execution of the idea. The execution of the idea was terrible on initial release, and while it has been improved with an enhanced edition and DLC, it is still lacking in many places. However, I maintain that the core idea of the Reapers being an entity that kills advanced lifeforms to ensure the long-term survival of organics is a decent enough way to end the story.
How? They are killing organics and turning them into goo. How does that preserve them? How does that preserve organics? They're no longer organic by definition. What is he talking about?
If their objective was to preserve, then why don't they just keep people bottled up in their planets and be like, right, don't do anything else?
They'll just
preserve it and be a zoo.
They'll make a zoo. The galaxy is their zoo. They're the zookeepers, and they just police the whole thing. And they're like, no, you're not making any spaceships today. Maybe another 100,000 years. Then maybe we'll give them to you. Like that would be it. And who's going to stop them? No one. They're the strongest, biggest baddies in the galaxy. No one's going to touch them.
It just reminded me of a game called The Last Federation, where you play as a space hydra, and you're actually the last of your kind, because your species was actually being dicks to every other species by preventing them from going to space flight. So all the other species got together and annihilated and you get captured because you're the last one. And your idea is to try and make sure that this thing doesn't happen again. And the idea is like, you're trying to like kind of make sure of, there's like a kind of power play, like you give people technology, you can start wars, end wars, annihilate, it's really, really fun game. It's just some of the shit that happens in it is just absolutely hilarious, because obviously you have, the species that you're with, I think it's kind of randomized, but you have to like steal their first spaceship, and you're just bopping around the galaxy, like just causing mayhem. It's really fun.
It's called The Last Hydra?
It's The Last Federation.
Last Federation. Okay, I gotta write that down. Yeah. All right.
I'll try and find it.
One more time for those.
I'll try and find it if you can't find it.
Thanks, okay.
Those you didn't hear because they were banging too loudly on their keyboards, you don't have to agree with me about the ending. Let's start with something we can all probably agree on. The execution of the ending in the original release was bad.
Bad is an understatement. This is the worst ending in the history of all the books I've read. I've read some bad books. I've watched some bad movies. I've seen really good stage plays. Most of my stage plays have been pretty good. Radio dramas, some Japanese ones I had to like get translations for. This is by far the worst. And I know someone told me to look at Lost and watch another series. It's like, how bad can it get? I'm sure Lost is pretty bad. This entire premise of Mass Effect is your choices matter, and they culminate to an ending where you have direct impact on the galaxy. And none of that makes sense. Yes, you have an impact on whatever occurs, but we don't understand it. We understood the choices in Mass Effect 1 and 2. Well, 1 mostly. 2 is sort of a mixed bag of like, why are these people here, and what are we really doing? What are the collectors doing? Why are they doing that? Like, there was a lot of questions. And none of them were really answered in 3. They're just like, yeah, they're making a human Reaper, but why? Because they're compatible, but why?
Yeah, that's the whole idea of everything. The story kept on changing. And I can't remember, it was the guy that Linkinski actually showed me. It's what happens when certain writers leave. And if there's not enough hard science fiction writers in there, certain things start to decay. And you get you get the Mac Walters, the spray on cheese kind of writer.
Yeah, if we had the Reapers,
things change.
like the whole question is, what do the Reapers want? And if we never knew the answer, that's fine. They're still a threat to us. We have to stop them. So the goal of the story is to stop these crazy aliens from killing everyone. And as the premise, or as we first introduced the Reapers, they're beyond our understanding. Okay, let's run with that. We will never figure out what these guys want. They're a big, nasty, spooky dudes, and we got to get rid of them or avoid them or something. That should have been the goal. Not, oh, we want to kill you so you don't die. Like, excuse me? Like, give me a reason if you want, but make it a damn good one, and not a stupid, illogical one.
It was clearly rushed and incomplete. I failed to believe anyone at BioWare wanted to release the ending this way.
No, they literally wanted to release it that way. Casey instructed Mac on what to do. He had final say. This is exactly what he wanted. Maybe not perfectly what he wanted, but every story beat that he wanted was there. If it weren't that way, he would have said no.
Yeah, I think when that thing just popped on my head then, but I just kind of popped back in. One of the things is just that this should have been, dare I say this, the first wave, and they defeated the first wave. And it's like, now the innocence of the galaxy, if you want to call it, has now been shattered. And now they have to live with this constant looming threat of other Reaper invasions happening now. So they have to armor themselves up.
See, that would have made sense, because as we saw the first game, Sovereign was really concerned. Like, we gotta get this cycle going sooner. It's like how sooner? How what does soon mean in terms of Reaper time? And we're talking like 200 years, I think. It was the approximation in the books that they wanted to get this thing going sooner. So that's like to a Reaper's like, meh, we'll get there in another 10,000 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas humanity is, or the species of the living beings of the galaxy are like, we got to act now. we got to act right now. So we would assume that the Reapers would send a normal contingency of whatever, like 10 Reapers. Like, we got 10. That's good, more than enough. We'll call in the rest if we need them. It's like, oh shit, one of them got destroyed. Get Billy on that. Oh, Billy's busy. Oh, we'll see him another 20 years. Okay, 20 years. Yeah, it's more than enough time. They don't care. They've been doing this for billions and billions of years old. They don't. It's like, oh yeah, whatever. We'll get around to it. Their sense of time is way different than ours.
Yeah, it's like this idea of like the Reapers are beyond our galaxy as well. Like they're going to be pulling other things, and like maybe that's just this intergalactic war that's happening beyond our own, and we don't even know about it. Like there could be so much going in there, like, which is one of the reasons why Andromeda was so laughable, because it's like we need to protect organic life, not that life though. That life is dumb. No.
Yeah, as soon as you deal with any kind of species which is beyond understanding, and we're talking, this is well beyond what you might encounter. I'm trying to think of like popular science, like Babylon 5. Babylon 5 has some like 3 major races which are really old, but they were always doing things behind the scenes. In this case, these guys take over the galaxy. And they've been doing it since the galaxy came about, essentially, since they were conscious within that. So billions of years. That's enormous. That is ridiculously long. So they must have like every trick in the book to solve their problem or to do their task. And it doesn't matter if they fail the first or the second or the third. They're going to keep going, and you're not going to stop them. Unless they do something really, really stupid, like I don't know, everyone comes in and okay, let's teleport to the center of the galaxy and everyone gets destroyed by gravity or whatever. Like, I don't know, but they would have all these plans ready because they've been doing it. They have experience, they have the power, they have the brains, they have the numbers. It's just unimaginable that they would lose. So you have to really, really write really well. You got to like surpass Asimov. Go read every Foundation book. Just do everything you can in the Culture series. Just surpass that. That takes a lot of effort. And to get that level of quality takes time. You'd have to call in like Harlan Ellison. You'd have to call in Straczynski. Get every other science fiber. I say, how How would this work? And they would argue for months in a writer's craft studio or whatever to figure out, this is how this is going to work. And there's like this easy question, which is don't reveal anything. And then there's the hard question, which is like, okay, you really have to like explain everything because it's science fiction. You can't just suddenly throw out science fiction and go with press a button and stuff happens, which is unfortunately what they did.
The big red button of doom.
Yeah. So you have to appreciate what science fiction is. You cannot just eliminate all these elements and think a Band-Aid and a Band-Aid on top of a broken story or a broken ending is gonna work in any level. So I don't know how well versed Mr. Davis is or Chris here is about science fiction or plot threads or endings or denouements, but I'm not saying he's out of his element. I'm just saying he's not coming at it from the perspective of storytelling or the genres or the stories that have come before. To know that, I remember when people were saying Mass Effect 2 is the greatest novelization in a video game of our time, and I'm like, okay. If you look at character stories, sure, it's got all kinds of great elements from the 9 or so people you encounter that have their own loyalty missions. Yeah, there's all kinds of great stories in there. Some of them are bad, some of them are okay, some of them are good. But not as a whole, not as a unified story, not as a single plot or an overarching plot which connects to a trilogy. No, absolutely not. It had the potential, because everyone always says the sequel will explain things. You're going to see everything resolved in Mass Effect 3. You're going to cure cancer in Mass Effect 3. You're going to do everything. It's like...
that's one of the biggest problems I have with the Mass Effect fandom. Is like, don't worry, the next game will explain. It's like when they talk about the next Mass Effect, like Mass Effect 4, and like they're going to explain it. They've got a plan, guys. And you're just like, can we not do this whole they'll do it later thing? Because this is why we end up in this mess in the first place. And best novelization, it's like, there was actually a guy on YouTube, is it called Cosmonaut Variety Hour? He's a YouTuber,
okay.
And he I think he did the guy who said, the guy who does I Hate Everything, and I get a bit tired when they talk about most video game plots are bad, and it's like, yes, if you take it the entirety, most of it's shit. I agree with that, but you don't sort of say, well, movies are better. Well, it's like, no, if you take the entirety of the movie industry, the entirety of it, you're going to get 99% shit. Same thing happens with books. Same thing happens with television. You do all for all. I'm getting tired of people kind of going like, oh, I've got these 10 movies which are good. I'm going to compare them to this entire gaming industry. Fuck off.
Yeah, no, it's genre and understanding it. You have to use the same standards. And it doesn't matter if it's a game. Yes, there are concessions for games that, cutscenes and items and, RPG elements. Yeah, fine. But this is not that. This is literally what happens at the end of a story. And the writers were clearly not up to the bar. Like I was really excited because I'm like, what are they going to do? This is going to be crazy. They're going to do something either absolutely brilliant, absolutely. I mean, they just worked their asses off and figured out all the probabilities and all the problems, and they came up with the best solution, and they didn't. And I don't knock them for trying because it's a hard thing to do, but they didn't just try to get the best answer to the question. They got the dumbest way to answer it by just destroying what came before in their own lore. It's bizarre that you would shoot yourself in both feet and then you're in the head. It's just like, what are you doing? Why? Just stop, put the gun down, look in the mirror and say, what is your problem? How do you solve it?
It's like the opening. It's like the opening of Call of Cthulhu, Dark Corners of the Earth, where you see the guy like writing in his own. It's like, Bioware, what are you doing? Stop! For goodness sake, stop! Get out of the news. That's what it's like.
Anyway, we've been rambling. Let's keep going here.
This wasn't the execution of an artistic vision. It was a scramble to complete a commercial product in time for release.
Yeah, there's some truth to that, but still, there's ways to do it so it works.
Nothing will convince me otherwise short of video footage of the concept meetings, and even then I'd be highly skeptical.
Holy hell, how the hell are they going to repair that? Nobody knows. Right, once again, the reason why the extended cut makes things worse, in my opinion, is because no one knows what a mass relay is made out of. No one knows the construction materials. How can you repair something to which you don't even know the base material? Everybody's stuck.
It's been this mystery for thousands of years by the Asari. They haven't figured it out. All of a sudden, give us a few weeks, boom.
Yeah, humans. It's like, want to go to Andromeda? No problem. Humans can do it. It's like humans are like the Billy Mays of like the galaxy.
Anything. It does everything.
way I am when I see footage of UFO sightings or people having fun watching baseball. The original edit lacked crucial information, such as explaining how the companions, who were with you on Earth, ended up back on the Normandy and what the hell happened to everyone fighting around Earth. The last one wasn't just an annoying omission, it was a huge plot hole. When the signal goes out to destroy all the Reapers or control them or convert everyone's DNA, the Mass Effect relays are shown to explode. We know from the Arrival DLC in Mass Effect 2 that an exploding mass relay will destroy everything in the system. Does that mean Earth was destroyed regardless of what you chose? Was everyone stranded around Earth unable to return home following the destruction of the relays? What about planets near other Mass Effect relays? Some of the issues can be explained away. For example, perhaps the Mass Effect relay in Arrival only killed the Batarian colony because of the way in which it was destroyed by an asteroid.
It destroyed the planet. It wiped out the solar system.
Yeah. It's like you would have thought the Reapers would have kind of built their mass relays to survive impacts, because if you think over the course of billions of years, an impact is inevitable. One of their relays. So it's like, why would imagine like, oh, we just built this thing, kadoosh. Oh, oops. We better do something about that, haven't we, George?
It's hard to say because how powerful are they? If they can quantum lock something, that's pretty amazing. But it says nothing about kinetic energy, which is strange because there's a big spiel in the lore of Mass Effect about kinetic energy and how everything is just kinetic energy, or you're transferring energy from here to there to launch it across distances and all these other things. So you would think that the relays were literal black boxes, like no one could even detect them unless you hit a certain level of technology that could sense a certain frequency. Like that would have made perfect sense if there was an explanation about the relays, how you had to get to a certain level of tech to detect them, and then you could use them, as opposed to, well, now we know what mass relay fields are, or mass fields are, mass effect fields are. All of a sudden we can travel long distances. It's like, what? They never quite explained that in much detail, even in Mass Effect 1, of how they made the jump. Like, yeah, we found the cache on Mars, and then boom, we learned a whole bunch. Now we have starships. But if the relays were literally undetectable until you found that cache, then it's like, oh. And then you try and experiment. It's like, nope, no one has any idea how to unlock these things. There's such a mystery. They're beyond the standard model. They emit no energy whatsoever. Like there had to be something about them that would make them so beyond, and that would be enough for us to believe that the Reapers are literally that powerful. But because relays can be like shattered with a rock, you're like, oh, okay.
It does make you one thing though. It's like, why don't the Reapers just make themselves out the material of the mass relay?
Yeah, they're huge.
Like, just quantum lock themselves.
Yeah,
just be like, nope, lol, no damage, invulnerability, like KL ult, lol.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, how powerful do you get these guys? And they essentially had to water them down in some capacity. And the idea was they are living entities in some capacity, and that they had a connection to a Saren, and that because you attack Saren, that had a feedback effect or whatever to Sovereign. So it's like, oh, they have some sort of connection to the physical world that can be impacted or influenced. So the combat or the attack would not be a physical attack. It would be a search for their weakness attack. Where are their like the collectors, where are there avenues we can get through to them and attack them that way? I thought that would have been interesting if the collectors, or whatever the connection to the collectors were, would have been the way. Oh, now we see the signal that Harbinger is using. We can use that signal to attack a Reaper. Like, I mean, oh, brilliant! Mass Effect 2 wasn't worthless, you know, but they went the route of, oh, big space aliens coming to Earth.
It's
They're
basically
stomping on
Independence
things.
Day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh no, our missiles are useless. We now need to upload a virus to the mothership. In fact, that's like a better idea. Why is Independence? Oh no, Independence Day is better than Mass Effect 3. Oh no, we've gone into dangerous waters here, folks.
Yeah. Oh. As soon as you saw the tagline "Take Earth Back," you're like, oh no.
Well, yeah.
The explosions at the end could be more akin to controlled detonations. Regardless, I don't blame people for being confused and annoyed about the lack of clarity here. I'd wager the developers at BioWare were just as disappointed as the players. This can't have been what they wanted people to see as the culmination of their trilogy and at least 8 years' work. Fortunately, BioWare
8 years' work? Okay, from the beginning, okay.
released a free enhanced ending which improved things a lot, as did the DLC. First of all, there are many more endings to show what happened to your crew and people you met along the way, and it clears up a few ambiguities, like the cutscene showing your crewmates getting rescued on Earth to explain why they are on the Normandy.
Yes, by creating a gigantic plot hole of having Harbinger just sit back for, I don't know, was it? I remember I timed it in one of my videos.
Like, what was it, 30 seconds or something? Harbinger just like, hi. Hi, this is this is awkward.
Do I kill them now? Should I wait? Is this like, do they want me not to kill them? Oh, okay, I'll just wait.
And you can't even use like the stealth drive or the Reaper IFF because you piss off the Reapers in the game too much and they'll come after your ass. You know, they want to chomp out of that thing. It's not like they're below killing you.
Yeah, we had somersaulting Makos. We had like Tally with blood splatter over the top of her helmet hood thing. It's like, did she explode internally and this blood just like ruptured her helmet? Like all these questions, like Edie, like what is going on with Edie? Like, it's just...
Yeah. Edie, we can get you another body. Jesus Christ, calm down. In fact, that could have been an interesting aspect of like use Edie to like hack into Reaper controlled devices and she takes over them. That'd be really well. So I just thought that
you have the IFF, make it relevant. You know, make Mass Effect 2 relevant. Do something.
Make Mass Effect 2 relevant.
Whatever, pick something. I don't care. Use whatever is there. Don't start doing melodrama because people are whining about Caden not having enough screen time or some bullshit.
Mind you, this edit is clunky and actually ruins the pacing of the run towards the beam. The Normandy...
That is the nicest way of putting it. It ruins the pacing. Yeah, it grinds it to a halt.
This escape has also been re-edited and looks a lot better. The Enhanced Edition makes a few tweaks around the edges, but it's the Leviathan DLC that completely recontextualizes the big reveal about the AI that invented the Reapers.
No, it doesn't. They created a new alien that surpassed the original alien. It's like we need a Deus Ex for a Deus Ex. But this one's gigantic and it has telepathic powers. And it's like, okay. So what?
It also has the blue orbs of doom that can, like, if you wanted a weapon to shut down a Reaper, Leviathan produces one for you, and it creates so many plot holes throughout the entire series. It's like, why didn't, like, if these Leviathans were so worried about Reapers influencing, and actually that could have been an interesting aspect between like a Cold War of like them using different races against one another in terms of who gets to the Citadel first, and the Reapers have just always won throughout. And then they have to wipe them all out and kind of go like, well, we can't use their allies anymore now, so we'll just wipe them all out.
That would have been interesting if there were these two groups of organic and inorganic, and the Reapers the Reapers as we know them are like, no, we got to do this, or else you're going to make robots that are going to kill you. And then the organics come by, no, 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 we're in charge. We're going to control you, so that never happens. It's like, whoa, who do I choose? Like, that would have been hilarious.
I know that's kind of like another take on the Vorlons and the Shadows in terms of like they become literally order and chaos. And the conflict isn't about preserving alien life anymore now. It's about them trying to win over the other one, and they're using any means necessary to try and win this conflict because it's been going on for that long that they've lost sight of the original goal.
It's an ideological conflict, not a physical conflict, even though it's fought with us physically. That we just see what behind the scenes, what it's really all about. That would have been so much better. Not to say,
why are we coming up with better ideas?
Every day we talk about this, we solve the problems of we make a better story just by brainstorming. Like, forget the physical. Talk about the ideological conflict of Reapers or organics and synthetics and what that means. And as opposed to just saying it will always happen. Just say, what if it doesn't? What then? And explore that. Explore that explore that science fiction concept of having a galaxy full of humans or whatever that are dominating every other species, even the inorganics. Like what happens there? What do you do, Reapers? Yeah. You know, what did the Reapers ever consider that? It's like, apparently not, because it never happens. It just doesn't happen. No way.
Yeah, it reminds me actually of speaking of which, because Vampire Masquerade's obviously in the works now again. One of the things about the endings of that one is that you can either go with the Anox, Camarilla, Quajin, and I think you go off by yourself, really. Right. And that could have been an interesting aspect in terms of which side you actually want to be on. Because if, let's say, this was a constant battle between the two different groups, it'd be like, well, the Reapers are offering humanity an elevated status of ascension in terms of basically you're going to become immortal, which a lot of humans would actually want to do. You know, no species wants to die out. Then the other Leviathans would kind of go, well, we're going to offer you these things. Or you can basically kind of go, you know what, both of you, I'm going to do this our own way. You know, that would be an interesting, like, freeway. If you want your ABC ending, there it is.
I think if the Leviathan DLC added to the ending where you had the Leviathans have their bit at the ending part there, or whatever the bullshit Crucible thing does, at least there would be some context as to what's going on and why this has been, like, because obviously the Leviathans are out for blood. The Reapers are like, no, we're just doing our job. We're preserving life, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, you guys are crazy. Get the hell away from me. Go away. And that would have been fine. We don't need to know every detail what the Reapers are and their crazy ideas. We don't need to know every detail what the Leviathans want and why. They can go fight their own war. You know, they can go, you know, eat themselves together. We don't care. Go away. They'd be like, okay.
The Leviathan DLC contains a couple of lengthy missions where you hunt for clues and use the information to track down a piece of technology that the Reapers seem intent on destroying. Shepard finally tracks down the Reaper tech, which happens to be deep underwater. Using a mech suit you traverse the ocean depths, and even though there's no real risk, it does feel appropriately foreboding. Over the course of the trilogy we spent a bunch of time exploring different worlds, but walking on the ocean floor feels more alien.
Nothing to do with the ending, just so you know.
Than most. Eventually you come face to face with what looks like a Reaper, except it's not, it's a Leviathan.
The sign says no Jehovah's Witnesses.
Dance for me, monkey. Pay me tribute.
But what's really funny is that there's Reapers on the planet, which means that the Reapers know about this planet. Why don't they just launch a big rock at it? You know, nothing stopping them from going, yeah, we know where you are now.
They can't scan through water? Like no?
Like,
I don't get it. Like, they know they're there, so do something. It's like, no. We can't preserve them. No. All right.
What follows is essentially an exposition dump, however it's so utterly compelling that you don't want it to ever end.
Never ending. Serve the Leviathan forever.
The history of the Mass Effect world is fascinating. and yet with the exception of the Protheans we know little about all the cycles that came before ours. Now we are face to face with what is effectively the original dominant race in the galaxy, or at least that's what we're told. Leviathans were the dominant race of their time. They had the ability to influence other species through their thoughts, and they used this to rule the galaxy. Other species were left to their own devices so long as they were obedient, however the Leviathans noticed a pattern. Organic races always ended up creating synthetic races and eventually gave them artificial intelligence. These synthetic races always ended up going to war with their creators, and those wars threatened to spill across the entire galaxy. It was a pattern or...
Right, so this species can dominate the minds of lesser beings, but watches them build synthetic creations even though it can dominate the minds of said lesser beings. It's like, why don't they just dominate them and be like, don't build them. Just don't. Just put that in your genetic recipe, for crying out loud. Don't build synthetics. You know, every time they look at the hand, like, oh, right, okay, I know what to do now. Don't do that, Roger. Crack on.
The same could be said of themselves. Why did they build?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, these things are building synthetics. What's our solution? I know. We'll build our own, and it's going to be better.
The logic of these superior beings is truly beyond our understanding.
Yeah, right. Like if this was something like of a sea consciousness and it required a lot of effort to control races, then I'd be like, okay, maybe you need like organics, like even with their powerful mindset, they can't control species across vast distances. So they would need to set up some kind of automated system or something. And then it kind of grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And obviously it kind of became self-aware and or something like that, you know, but it still needs, that would allow a physical presence to be manifested. But if it's just on a hard drive, it's not going to do anything. It's like that toaster from Fallout.
Cycle, if you prefer, and the Leviathans were unable to stop it. Eventually, the Leviathans decided to create an AI to solve the problem for them. The result is what they call the Intelligence, which is the AI we met aboard the top of the Citadel. The Intelligence was given the mandate of preserving organic life in the galaxy and decided that the best way to achieve this was to harvest their DNA and wipe them out before they created a synthetic life that threatened the entire galaxy. Unfortunately for the Leviathans, the Intelligence saw them as a threat too, which is actually pretty apt because the Leviathans did create an incredibly dangerous AI. So
let me see if I got this straight. The Leviathans create themselves, or create AI, the Intelligence, and then they see themselves as a threat, or what the hell did he say there? I'm trying to wrap my brain around this.
To rule the galaxy. Other species were left to their own devices so long as they were obedient, however the Leviathans noticed a pattern. Organic races always ended up creating synthetic races and eventually gave them artificial intelligence. These synthetic races always ended up going to war with their creators, and those wars threatened to spill across the entire galaxy. It was a pattern, or cycle if you prefer, and the Leviathans were unable to stop it. Eventually, the Leviathans decided to create an AI to solve the problem for them. The result is what they call the Intelligence, which is the AI we met aboard the top of the Citadel. The Intelligence was given the mandate of preserving organic life in the galaxy and decided that the best way to achieve this was to harvest their DNA and wipe them out before they created a synthetic life that threatened the entire galaxy. Unfortunately for the Leviathans, the Intelligence saw them as a threat too, which is actually pretty apt because the Leviathans did create an incredibly dangerous AI.
Okay, this is circular logic. As far as he explained it. The Leviathans created AI, and then the AI see Leviathans as a threat, so they have to get rid of the Leviathans. Okay.
It's like, are the Leviathans killing off organic things, or is it because like the AI kind of realizes that if it realizes it becomes self-aware, then the Leviathans will want to try and take that thing out, but they're almost like Cthulhu, like gods, so you would have thought they'd be a bit more like, yeah, we're more accepting of artificial intelligence because we created something, you know, we're not like, oh, my toaster's trying to kill me and it's laughing at me, you know.
Yeah, it seems really bizarre that these super old genius gods create a being that does something that they're like, yeah, just do this. We don't care. Go ahead and do that. It's like, oh wow, you've been doing that for a long time. How's it going? Yeah, we're great. Okay. And they just kept doing that until the intelligence just goes, hey, people who created me, I'm gonna take you over too. It's like, wait a second, why? Because you're eventually gonna create AI that will kill you. It's like, but we haven't. It's like, well, that's us. It's like, well, then don't kill us. Like that's literally it. That's the logic. They say, no, we're going to kill you so we can preserve you. It's like, no, that's illogical. You're stupid. You were designed to preserve other species. Why are you trying to preserve ours? We're fine. We've been doing this for billions of years. We're good. This is the level of writing we're getting from BioWare here. We created a second god species who's dumber than the first because they caused all this and they can't figure it out. There's no logic that makes sense. You see, it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to make AI that will take us over because they're stronger and faster and more ambitious or aggressive, whatever. That's fine. But this is literally, you have a job to do this. And they say, we're going to do this. But then we're going to do something else. It's like, what? Like, why? Like, it doesn't, like, we need good reasons for things happening. And I didn't play through this DLC. I went through, some of the scenes. This does not help the story. It just adds an extra layer of confusion. You see, when you add stuff to a story, like a backstory, it has to explain things. It has to show things, how they work. You don't have to explain everything. You just have to explain the basics. It's like, okay, this is why this character is behaving this way. This is why this technology exists. Whatever. You do not contradict what you already have. That's not good storytelling. I don't know what planet storytelling works where you create a side story or a third-party book or whatever that adds more lore and contradicts things. That's called retroactive continuity. You don't do that.
The intelligence created the Reapers to do the work on its behalf and modelled them on the Leviathan. The first ever Reaper was Harbinger. Some Leviathan hid from the Reapers and used their ability to control other species to hide evidence of their existence. While the Leviathan don't particularly care about helping the galaxy anymore, they do desire revenge on the Reapers and agree to help in the battle. If you play this DLC before completing the main game, the end reveal that the Reapers are controlled by a powerful AI that seeks to preserve life isn't a surprise at all. The reveal isn't out of left field, and it's easier to digest as a result. I'm not intending to excuse the original ending here. The Leviathan DLC is so important that it should have been part of the main game, and there are still major issues with the ending. For example, why can't we ask the AI
in the other two games? Like, Harbinger would have been like, don't build synthetics, they will always destroy you. Sovereign would be like, don't build synthetics, they will always destroy you. Just ignore the fact that I'm using these synthetics to destroy. And I'm going to replace the keepers with these synthetic creations. Because you kind of get the impression in Mass Effect overall that I think it's the idea of that Sovereign wasn't actually ready for the Geth, something like the Geth to actually be alive. It was kind of like, oh, right, okay, these things exist. Cool, I'm going to use them. That's kind of the general idea of what Sovereign's thought processes were. And he just saw them as tools and nothing more than that. So it's like maybe and there's no mention of synthetics being used in other cycles in the other, if you look at from Mass Effect 1's perspective, you would have thought there would be automatons and things like that on Ilos and what have you, but there isn't any.
Such as, if I take control of the Reapers, does that mean I can order them to self-destruct? Which would achieve the same end as the destroy ending without the need to kill all synthetics. When making videos, I typically try to stay away from online discussions about the games I'm covering. Looking at other people's opinions has me second guessing myself, and I'm always worried I might accidentally copy something I hear without proper attribution. However, in the case of Mass Effect 3's ending, I decided my argument would be better if I directly addressed the main complaints that I don't completely agree with. This meant doing a deep dark dive into internet comment sections and watching a couple of cringy clickbait videos. I hope the result is worth it because I will never be the same person again. I repeatedly saw 3 major pieces of criticism directed against the ending. That the logic behind the Reaper attacks was fundamentally flawed and didn't make any sense. That the ending was a huge thematic shift and therefore inconsistent with the rest of the trilogy. And that the ending didn't properly incorporate your previous choices and made them largely meaningless. I disagree with most of this. Let's start with the logic behind the Reapers wiping out advanced life forms every 50,000 years. It's certainly easy to make fun of this at a surface level, which means it's a great fit for memes, such as the Exhibit 1 mocking the logic of preventing organic life being killed by synthetics by using a synthetic life form to destroy organics. Like many memes, this oversimplifies the issue and misses the entire point. Like I said before, the key point is that Reapers do not destroy all organic life. They only destroy advanced organic life.
They will eventually destroy all organic life. It's a cycle. They keep doing it. What time, it means very little to them, whether it's 50,000 or 100,000. It's like whoop-de-doo. They will get you all. They are the Pokemon of the galaxy. Instead of collecting you and making you your unique growth of powers, they're going to make you just like them. For whatever reason.
In the last cycle, the Reapers wiped out the Protheans and presumably many other races, but not humans, Asari, Hanar, Rachni, etc., who were still in the early stages of development, and nowhere near capable of creating synthetic life. The Intelligents, and therefore the Reapers, work on the assumption that advanced life forms will always create synthetic life, and that synthetic life will always end up rebelling against its creators, which it sees as inferior. However, synthetics won't stop there. Synthetics will multiply at unprecedented rates and kill all species in their quest to dominate the galaxy. Eventually, synthetics
Except
will
the Geth, who hid. They became a hermit race. And they only exploded outwards until the connection of the Reapers.
They literally just wanted to till the garden and grow crops and, you know, make houses for their creators. And they were doing that all this time. Because that's how they were programmed to do. They were peaceful. They wanted to talk to their creators, but every time they tried, they got attacked.
Yeah, every time there's always a measure of success by the Quarians have always attacked. It's the organics which are the problem, it's not the synthetic. You know, the only time when a synthetic would do that kind of thing is if, let's say, it's a limited AI and it's only got one sole function. It's not actually above itself. Because if it's aware, then it kind of realizes of its impact upon its surroundings. It would be intelligent.
Right. So if the Geth were actually aggressive or violent, then it would be thematically the same. Then the Reapers would have a point. Yeah, you know, you see the Geth over there? Yeah, that's been happening, buddy, for like ever. Okay? That's why we're here. Then we'd be like, oh, okay, you have a point there. I guess you're right. As opposed to, yeah, no, the Geth, they're really nice. And we just saved them. And they're helping out their creators finally after this big disagreement. And everyone's cool. Here's Edie. She's actually based off you guys. And she really hates you. We both think you're crazy. I mean, that was the argument that should have been brought up. If you want to go the logic bomb route, where Shepard, you know, takes them apart with basic reasoning, but we never get that option. There's no dramatic conversation. It's just an info dump of, hey, I am the Reaper God. Why are you here, human? Oh, okay. Can you kill us or not, or become us, or, you know, it's like, what?
Yeah, let's also not forget that the Asari have been around for, like, what was it, 4,000 years? Not a single artificial intelligence made by.
Yeah.
So.
And they're the smartest.
Hello. Yeah, they're the smartest. And you take even someone like the Solarians, a very short-lived species. You would have thought they would have actually been going into more automated and artificial intelligence processes. I mean, it's like the idea of. Imagine the Reapers coming down. It's like, right, we have this new law. It's called we're against murder. And if you commit murder, we're going to murder you all. And we're like, we already have a law that prevents murder. That if people do murder, then they get convicted of murder. Do you not see that we already have laws in place to regulate?
If this was a major message of the story, a major theme even, then every race or every species would have had a story, a backstory of synthetics, and then there was a rebellion, and then they had to kill them all, and they were lucky that time, and then the Quarians were just like, okay, they're like the next species to do that, and they're doing it now, and they're stuck in the middle. It's like, oh, this is like, that would have been the point.
Yeah, there could have actually been a major conflict in terms of to bottle the Geth up. It took you took the Taurians, it took the Asari, you could even throw in the Krogans in there as well as like a kind of redemption arc for them for the Krogan rebellion. And it could have gone like, but we could only bottle them up. We can't actually defeat them right now because it's just their machines. They will just replicate.
They could have actually done it even further with the rebellions or the Krogans when they uplifted them, that they were part synthetic, and it's because of that that they were able to dominate the
Solarians upgraded them. Yeah,
right.
They went full gas.
Right. Then it'd be like, oh, that would have been another theme that would have worked with the conversation with the catalyst saying, well, listen, here are the examples. This is why we come every 50,000 years. At this time, in some permutation, one of you guys is going to make synthetics and they're going to kill you all off. And it's like, well, that hasn't happened yet. We have no examples of that. And it's not consistent with the message a story should be telling. You can do all this other crap in a science fiction story like biogenetics and merging genomes together and uplifting races. That's great. But if the message of the story is, yeah, everything's all about synthetics killing you, that's not Mass Effect. That is not even in the first game. So, thematically consistent, not at all.
All organic races, not just the advanced ones. I know it sounds like a bunch of crazy assumptions, but it's not difficult to imagine. There are already debates about AI in the real world, and plenty of our own science fiction shows AI eventually rebelling against its masters.
So what? Again, we're talking about third-party stories.
The only leap of logic I'd question is that after destroying its creators, the synthetics would then go on to wipe out other life forms, but I can just about live with it. If we accept this logic, then it's reasonable for the intelligence to wipe out advanced life forms. I can't remember where I first heard this, so forgive the lack of citation, but imagine if we created an AI with the primary goal of preventing further climate change. Given complete freedom, the first thing the AI would do would be to kill all humans, because we're the ones causing the majority of climate change in the first place. Of course, humans presumably wouldn't be so stupid as to create an AI with complete freedom.
Wow, this is not a conversation I want to be listening to. Oh my god. Oh, climate change is a problem. Oh god, here we go.
We would put in place an Asimov-style "don't kill humans" rule, but those are never as straightforward as they sound. How would an AI interpret such a rule? Any major action it takes is bound to lead to the loss of at least one human life, even if it saves hundreds, thousands, or millions. What if the AI developed an efficient public transport?
That bit. That bit annoyed me. It's just like, Liara, hit the brakes. He will fly off at 2,000 miles per hour and go splat somewhere. You can get rid of this flipping Final Fantasy reject once and for all.
Yeah, we're more offended by Kyle Lang than whatever this guy is saying.
Sorry, I completely changed the ending there. But yeah, it's just Kyle Lang's just generally insulting to me.
As soon as we start talking about climate change, I'm like, oh dear, here we go.
Network to replace cars. Let's say the network is incredibly safe compared to cars, but some
Shepard
people
is
will
driving. Oh, right, okay, that makes it even worse. Just remove the player agency thing right there, BioWare. Just have the fancy la-di-da cutscene where everybody acts like a flipping moron.
Yeah, everyone in the backseat's doing nothing. It's like, yeah, Shepard can take care of it.
Yeah, it's like feigns that it's like grunts they're playing on these Nintendo DS.
Still die occasionally in accidents. Is the AI allowed to let a few people die to save the many? If so, is it allowed to directly kill if that would save lives? Again, this is a very real conversation. It's the modern day equivalent of the trolley problem. Should an AI controlled car risk killing a pedestrian to save the life of the driver and the passenger? What if there is only one person in the car and 3 pedestrians? How comfortable would you be in a self-driving car knowing that it might take action resulting in your death if it will save others? What if the driver is 18 and the pedestrian is in their 90s? Should the car account for the future of the 18-year-old over a 90-year-old
What is he talking about?
who has lived a full life? The point is putting rules...
programming thing that they're talking about, but I guess the issue that they're talking about is so localized in one thing. Is if, let's say, there was a risk of human life, the AI would probably just shut down the entire thing, so everything just stops, so there's no risk of anything. It would just be like, shut everything down and everything to move along, and then it would start it up again.
If he was going through a theoretical example of the birth of AI and how AI conquers man or wants to preserve itself, then okay, we can go that route because it's relevant to the theme of AI taking over organics and killing them. But he's just literally talking about a self-driving car suddenly having sentience and suddenly evaluating. It's like, where are you going with this? And what the hell is the pedestrian appears more? What the hell does this have to do with anything? Like, I don't mind people having long-winded conversations about themes and stories and all that crap, but he is literally inventing scenarios that have no place in this conversation.
In place like save organic life forms but never kill anyone isn't easy to program for an AI. When considered on a galactic scale, it's perfectly feasible that an AI could decide that the best way to protect organic life is to kill all advanced life forms every 50,000 years.
No. You have to explain that, sir. You can't just say that.
Yeah, it's like, once again, the policing option is way more viable, and it would involve no destruction whatsoever. It would save, funnily enough, it would save more lives by having everyone policed and everyone in their own little worlds bottled up. You would save more lives as a result.
Yes.
So if the goal is to save lives, I've just came up with a solution right then and there. Your argument's moot.
Yeah, and then if you have this policeman who's sort of the arbiter of what's right and wrong, and you say, well, I want to make some AI. It's like, well, no, you can't do that. Well, but I'll make it really safe. It's like, how do you, and then there's like this whole criteria you have to pass before you can start doing AI research. And the policeman will go, yep, now you can, or no, you can't, because you failed the test. And they're because they are AI. They know exactly how to make AI that doesn't kill people. So that would be the check. They would have this galactic police state, which wouldn't touch anyone, be like just sitting back, just observing, and going, okay, oh, they're making robots. Okay, let's see what they're doing. Okay, it's fine. Is it giving them complex heuristics and they can like communicate? And okay, that's fine. Oh, one hurt one. Okay, this is where we're going to get involved. We're going to come down like the hand of God, and we're going to blow away half your planet. How's that? So half the population is gone, and then we're going to say, hi, we're God, and we say you can't do AI anymore unless you follow these rules. Capiche? Good. See you in another million years or whatever. You know, that would be it. That's that simple. Oh, I got a little super chat. My apologies. This is the guy trying to prove the indoctrination theory by talking about sound having mind control properties. Oh, really? This is the same guy? Oh, dear. Well, you know, you're free to think whatever you like, but it doesn't mean we're not going to criticize you, so let's continue.
Stretch, I'll admit that, but this is science fiction. It's a universe where we have to believe in all sorts of crazy technologies and what is essentially space magic. It's part of a story where Shepard can be brought back from the dead after 2 years, and even out of all the options available to her, pick Kaidan as a partner to romance. Compared to dating Kaidan, the intelligence's solution to its mandate of preserving organic life isn't that far-fetched.
Whoa!
Okay.
Having a date with a bro, or being a sudden heterosexual or homosexual or bisexual is more believable or harder to believe than the entire plot of the Reaper Kid.
Yes, you know that there's many myths that are still in legend, you know, like pixies, vampires, lesbians. They don't exist. Like, what? What are you talking about?
But the fact that Shepard suddenly becomes bisexual or homosexual is so out there. Like, there's no way.
I like that term. He's bi-hopeful.
but with the billion-year-old AI constantly killing, like, what, dude? You are just. How do you like what? How did you come to that conclusion? I want to know.
I guess it's more of a joke. I think he's just trying to make an offhanded joke. Really,
I don't think he's joking.
I don't know, because sometimes British humour can be a bit dry, and this is a bit sandy beach. But I think he is. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
All right.
I think he's trying to make a joke.
I'll give it to you then.
I also need to address one of the most commonly cited reasons for the Reaper logic completely falling apart. It's hard to find any discussion of the ending without finding someone claiming that we've proved the entire Reaper logic wrong by bringing about peace between the Geth and the Quarians. In a Paragon playthrough, you negotiate a peace between the Geth and the Quarians and show firsthand that synthetics can live in peace among organics. Therefore, you've broken the cycle that necessitated the creation of the Reapers in the first place. The intelligence is wrong and should leave us all in peace. I completely disagree and believe it's a mistake based on our general inability to conceive of huge periods of time, and a tendency to focus on the here and now.
It doesn't matter if it's going to happen in the future. Right now, the story has proven it as such. It doesn't matter if you side with the Quarians, the Geth, or both. Peace has been achieved.
Once again, it's like he completely ignores the fact that the Rachni, an organic species, was brought to only one left. There was only one left and it was very much wiped out. It was an organic species. He completely ignores that. So organics wiping out organics, that's perfectly fine. No one bats an eye at that. Synthetics around, ooh, no, can't have that. Can't have that.
And this is all, again, both scenarios, the evil Geth, or the Geth who want to hurt organics, and the Rachni were both caused by the Reapers.
Yes.
Okay? Yeah, the Quarians and their Geth have a problem. That's an issue, right? But they were exacerbated by the Reapers, and I bet it wouldn't have been an issue. They wouldn't have had the problem if the Reapers didn't come by. It would have been resolved. So this is a self-perpetuating problem.
Yeah, you would have thought that the Reapers, after each cycle, would be leaving big signposts around saying, "Don't build synthetic."
Yeah, like in the caches that you find on Mars or whatever, it'd be like, okay, here's all this knowledge. Oh yeah, by the way, if you do this, you're going to die. And there's all these stories or whatever examples of if you build something like that, the AI is going to do this. It's like, yeah, why wasn't that in there? If that's the problem, why wouldn't they make their lives easier? It's like the Reapers are like, yeah, we got to keep reaping, provided, we're not going to reap. Oh, they didn't make synthetics? Okay, we're not going to reap. Oh, we come back next time? Oh, they still don't make synthetics. Great, we're cool. That's it.
What?
That's it.
Why didn't they just have like an option menu, like a survey menu of like whenever you access a mass relay, it's like, do you have any desire or wishes to build synthetic life? Yes or and if you click yes, then it just denies you. It's like, sorry.
Are you carrying any synthetic life aboard your vessel? Yes or no? Yes. I'm sorry. This ship is this relay is not operable today. Oh my God! We keep solving problems. I hate this.
Let's zoom out a bit. The Geth have been around for 300 years. It's true that Shepard recently negotiated a peace agreement of sorts, however there's no telling how long this will last.
Same with any other peace agreement with any other species.
Furthermore, following Legion's actions, the Geth are now far more sophisticated with a sense of individuality based on the Reaper upgrades. The fact that there is peace in the moment does not mean the cycle is broken. The Reapers invade every 50,000 years, and the extinction event itself takes hundreds of years to complete. The entire period the Geth have existed for is barely a rounding error on that scale. Just because there has been peace for a few minutes doesn't mean that synthetics won't still end up destroying organic life. The Reapers don't arrive at the last possible moment.
Okay. Okay. Every human has the capacity for murder, so let's just murder all humans. Let's go for that. Let's roll with that, shall we?
It's just like, this is such juvenile thinking. I don't even bother to respond to it. It's just stupid.
It's overly simplistic. It's like, yes, it's a short period of time, but once again, there's no other examples in the previous iterations of the cycles. There's no, because the Protheans have been retconned out with a butthole, unfortunately. They weren't their intended creation, thanks to Mass Effect 3 with Javik. I know Javik tries to do his whole kind of, we had our own synthetic wars and things like that, but it's like that's never ever mentioned in the previous two titles, and it's never mentioned by the antagonists themselves, the Reapers. So it's just this is why it comes out of left field, because it's like, oh wait, what?
Yeah, even if he says all those things, it's like, well, Javik, this is Edie, she's totally fine. Javik, this is Legion, he's totally fine. Javik, this is the entire Geth species, which are based off Legion. They're a collective, what's the word, group consciousness. Like, they're all the same.
Yeah,
they all achieve consensus. It's not going to happen, or at least in our lifetime, so we don't have to concern ourselves with this.
But also,
lots of things could happen in the future. We don't know.
But his whole argument, like, just because they've made peace doesn't mean that. It's like, yes, but we've established the fact that dialogue can be presented and peace can be achieved. It's not an inevitability of what. It's like, what do you mean by conflict? There's always going to be conflict? Well, okay, then you have to just wipe out every single species. Like, you're going to become the same problem that you're going to be the problem that you're trying to. You're going to become the cause of the thing that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, it's like what with the Rachni nearly wiped out the galaxy. It's like, well, why didn't the Reapers get involved then? If they're so concerned about organic life, it's like, well, look, here's a species being wiped out. What are you going to do?
Nothing.
Only if the guy pulling the trigger is a robot? Really?
To save the day. The 50,000 year cycle seems fairly arbitrary. Presumably the intelligence considers that time period regular enough to prevent the elimination of all organic life. The circumstances of any present moment are completely irrelevant when considering cycles of 50,000 years.
Why? What? We're not Reapers. We don't care. To us, it's like, yeah, this is several generations of people getting along and arguing with their robots. What's wrong? Why can't we resolve issues in minutes or hours? Why are we comparing ourselves to insane robot AI gods? How can we do that? Like, he's trying to justify their actions. It's like, dude, you can't understand them. They're illogical.
How do you justify genocide?
Please tell us.
Like, genocide. It's like, this is going to be a TEDx talk. Genocide. The pro points of this. This is my 16 PowerPoint presentation of why genocide is actually really good. Present number 1. It stops advanced people from building synthetics.
When you're a robot, this is what you want to do to kill all your organic superiors.
And also, isn't this a bit like organics are superior to everything else? Like, because this is another thing as well that never gets touched upon is like the only species that developed synthetics were the Geth. Sorry, the Quarians. Sorry. But the Quarians don't have any biotics. Every species that has biotic potential, a lot of biotic potential, like the Asari, don't seem to rely on synthetics for a lot of their work. You know, it's like the humans kind of do a little bit. Obviously, I've got VIs and things like that, but I've just kind of noticed that.
Yeah, but the argument is give it another 50,000 years, and by that time you'll be wiped out because someone made a robot with guns or something. It's like, okay.
Oh, you might as well go full hog. In 7 billion years' time, all suns are going to explode. You might as well kill everyone off now and save them of jumping to another galaxy.
Oh, God. Let's not bring up Andromeda. Let's just keep going.
It takes hundreds of years to kill all advanced life. They aren't concerned with last-minute peace treaties. And let's not forget that the Geth aren't the only synthetic life form out there. Cerberus has been working on it for years, and it created Edie, an artificial intelligence, despite there being a galactic ban on the creation of AI.
Yes, and she is vehemently against the Reapers and their philosophy. She is the antithesis of what they want. What is your argument, sir?
What are the odds that a rogue group within the Asari and Turians have done something similar? The Asari haven't exactly been forthcoming, as we saw on Thessia. Are we really saying that just because the Geth and Quarians have behaved themselves for an afternoon that we've proved millions of years of history wrong?
How do you know there are millions of years of history? And even if they are, that is not what present day is telling us. Again, we're under the assumption that we suddenly guess in hundreds or thousands of years we're all going to die because Geth. What if we wipe out the Geth in one of our storylines? But we're gonna eventually make more Geth. They'll kill us. This time they'll kill us.
Yeah. It's...
Okay. Even though all this is caused because of the Reapers.
Wait, I like the fact that what happens, let's say, once again, I think you brought this idea of, what if, let's say, we go down genetics and you have, not to use like what he basically used, but, you know, like in Star Trek, you had the Khan, you know, the genetically superior human beings, and they would like kind of go, well, we're going to wipe out yours because we're superior to you now. What about that? Yeah. Like, what's you know, if you think about that, you're going to do nothing? Okay, fine. What about cyborg race? We are now transhumanists. We now consider ourselves superior to regular human beings. What about biotics? In actual fact, once again, bring up biotics, they see themselves as ascended and better because, yeah, in Mass Effect 1, you beat that biotic cult that see themselves as better because they don't trust anyone. You know, it's like, it's really just synthetics are the one problem? Okay. Sure, buddy.
Yeah, we've had civilizations being wiped out over our human history all the time. I mean, where do you draw the line? When they're spacefaring, because it's, you know, they're in the billions? I guess that's important. Like, like, we don't know why. And if you, like, that's the problem with the Reapers. They're supposed to be mysterious. And as soon as you start revealing why they're doing what they're doing, it all falls apart. And this guy's running with it. He's like, oh yeah, because they said, it's like, no, it's stupid.
This desire to place extreme importance on the present is only natural. Players want to take ownership of what they've accomplished, and being told that a cycle is unbreakable is frustrating, and something we can't easily wrap our heads around.
Because it's not explained well. It's possible it isn't. It's possible that all synthetics will kill all organics. That is a very possibility. But you have to prove it to us. And the game doesn't do that.
To quote from Vigil, or maybe paraphrasing you, so it's like, it doesn't matter what they... what does he say now? What does it say now? I forgot the exact quote now because I'm going to butcher this one. But it's, you don't care what their motives are. All that matters is stopping them. That's all what we had to do, was stop them from doing this thing.
Exactly.
We don't care about what their motives are or what they're going to say or do or anything like that. It's just the fact that they are doing this is implicit in terms of, hey, you just roll over and die, like what the Catalyst did later on. I'm just going to, here's the destroy option. You know, there you go. Crack on.
Yeah, that is the plot goal. Stop the Reapers. Doesn't mean kill them. It doesn't mean run away from, whatever it means. Just get away from these guys. Make them stop what they're doing. That's the focus. Not understanding this conflict we have no perception of, when the story is telling us we've solved artificial intelligence problems before. Like in every scenario from Mass Effect 1 to 2 to 3, we've solved them all. But it's inevitable. It's like, well, no, it isn't.
However, to say that we have proven the Reapers wrong is absolutely not the case.
Yeah, but first game, there's the AI that I think it's stuck in the machines in the Citadel, and you have to walk around and it blows itself up. Problem solved. There's the moon base mission with EDI, or that becomes EDI. Problem solved. Mass Effect 2, there's a few instances of that. There's also the Overlord DLC. All these problems get solved. Every single one. Then it culminates with the Geth, Mass Effect 3. Problem solved. You could even wipe out the Geth. What do you, like, this story is showing and telling us either Shepard's just amazingly good at killing AI, or they're just gonna die in some way or another. So no, it's not consistent. It's not provable.
When it comes to predicting the future on a galactic scale over tens of thousands of years, a peace agreement that's been in place for 5 minutes is as insignificant as this video is to the entire internet. I referenced Isaac Asimov.
This is why the Reapers would need to have constant monitoring of the galaxy to make sure that no species, it's the cycle doesn't need to exist if you just have people wandering around making sure that people aren't building the big things that are going to kill them all. And why stop at synthetics? What about nuclear grade weaponry? Isn't that more deadly to like Eden worlds? Like, you're just going to irradiate the entire planet, Oh, that's a good idea. We're fine with that, guys.
What if one of the organics makes a super weapon that blows away planets, like a Death Star? Where do you draw the line? It's like, no. The organics are killing each other. That's totally fine. We're good with that. They can blow up planets. They can blow up star systems. We're fine. You do that. But, again, if it's a robot and he has a knife and he stabs a baby, it's like, whoa, you got to just wipe that. You got to wipe the robots out. You got to assimilate the baby. Everything it got to be eaten up. It's like, okay, sure.
Asimov's robot novels earlier, but it's actually his Foundation novels that make a great case for this. The entire foundation of the novels is that a group of futurologists can accurately predict the future, but only on a large scale. It's impossible to predict what any one individual will do.
He's talking about Asimov, I think.
Yes, which I only get the gist because it's been a while since I've read the Foundation trilogy. But that's just basically about the idea of them trying to solve the galactic collapse and trying to make it so it only lasts a couple of hundred years rather than the 4,000 years of barbarism that will ensue.
Right.
It's just I think that's what Foundation is about originally. It does have it has a lot of machines in there, I think. Nothing about machines like taking over or anything.
I know, I don't mind him quoting it, but I want to know what he's talking about in relation to this.
However, when looking at millions and billions of people, it's possible to predict patterns, such as an upcoming 30,000 year period of struggle. The Foundation predicts cycles, and for the most part there's little that can be done to break out of those cycles. It's a similar logic to financial advice, such as spreading your investments out across a lot of assets.
Okay, again, that story is a hell of a lot more written better to be understood that this is inevitable, And again, he's talking about broad strokes when you're talking about the Foundation series of predicting. I think it was sociological techniques that this guy invented. But that's the point of the story. The point of Mass Effect is not synthetics will always kill organics. That's just thrown out in the middle of the ending for no reason. And then you have to go, wait, you're wrong. And he's just saying, well, because the gods said it, therefore it's true. It's like, well, who cares?
It's even hilarious when you're on Rannoch and you got the Dead Reaper, and the Reaper goes, "The Battle of Rannoch disapproved your assertion." You're just like, did you just not see what happened? Are you not aware over the thing? Did your scriptwriter not realize that there is a solution to save both species? Are you not aware of that? Are you just being blatantly ignorant over the fact? La 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 la. I'm rewriting the wiki page on this. La 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 la.
Yeah, and
like, that's the Reaper page.
And if there was a believable, like again, if we had a idea that this cycle will keep happening, great. Prove it to us. I don't care. Use math, use pictograms, use puppet shows, anything. Get it through our heads that this will happen. And that's what the story has to do. That's what the Ghost Boy has to do. And they didn't do that. It's not believable. Just because they say it doesn't mean it's true. You have to sell us on the idea, and the story isn't doing that. It's that simple.
Instead of dumping it all into one place. Individuals are more erratic than the whole. In defending the Reaper logic, I'm not trying to argue that this is a great resolution to the story or that it can't be questioned. However, I will argue that the events of the game do not prove the Reapers wrong.
Yes, they do. It doesn't matter the time scale because we're not concerned. We can't make choices after the game is over. We're only concerned about the here and now, and then we're looking at the next game, how our choices were impacted, etc., etc. That's the flow of the game. That's the flow of the choices you make. That's what we were sold on. That's what BioWare has been saying. That's how the ending is going to work. It didn't work that way.
Next up is the supposed thematic shift at the end. There's no denying that meeting the intelligence is a little jarring. You're probably expecting a final boss fight, and there isn't one. There's no obvious Paragon or Renegade option. You don't have your teammates alongside you, even though you've rarely been alone in the trilogy. This all leads to the ending feeling a little off, and from there people have concluded that it's thematically inconsistent.
No, that's not what we're talking about with themes. We don't care if there's not a final boss or your cohorts are with you or not. That's kind of irrelevant. It's what we were talking about before with the themes of control and power and how you resolve problems. AI does get brought up in the first game a bit. The third game, yeah, Rannoch, that's all it is. That's one of the minor themes. It's not a major theme, it's a minor theme. So for them to make it the whole point of the story is like, whoa, where did that come from? Especially when all the evidence points to the other direction.
I disagree. Everyone's going to interpret the theme or themes slightly differently. These things are always open to interpretation in stories, and even more so in games when the nature of the gameplay can contribute to the theme.
Okay, either the theme is interpretive or it isn't. He's saying it is. If it's interpretive, then everyone's opinion is moot. My view on theme is that it's actually the component of the majority of the conflict. So if you have 51% of your story is you chopping down zombies, your theme is man versus zombies. If 34% of your theme is baking cakes, then that's your major theme, and then you have 33% of another theme and 33% of another theme. Those are minor themes. So it's just basically the content and the main conflict of the majority of your experience. That's it. That's all a theme is to me. Again, these are nebulous terms. These are hard to understand. That's fine. But the simplest thing is that we are connecting with an idea, an ideological idea of something versus something else. And suddenly we're presented with the fact that it's all about AI. Everything's about AI. There's nothing we can do about it. That's it. And the story has not proven that. That is all there is to it. There's more to the story. The story itself in the first game and the second and third was more intelligent than the reveal of that conflict at the end. There was more to it. It gives us more reason to doubt and disbelieve that this super intelligent being knows all about history and knows all about conflict when we have been proven, anecdotally, obviously, because we're the player, and we've seen these things happen, and we've solved them, that, hey, you're wrong, buddy. We have proof. Here's our example. What proof do you have? Nothing. He has zero. That's what's meant by thematic disconnection, or whatever he's referring to.
Or even be a theme itself. The theme is very much in the eye of the beholder, so my opinion holds no more weight than anyone else's.
Then it doesn't matter. Why are you making a point? Why would you shoot yourself in the foot? This is his second point. He's like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Don't worry about it.
The theme matters only when it doesn't.
Okay.
It's even more complicated in Mass Effect because I'd argue that these games do not have one consistent theme and regularly bounce around between different ideas.
True.
The ending fits with
I would not disagree. That's true.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
many of the core themes of the series while also ignoring others. When people discuss the overall theme of the trilogy, they appear to place a lot more emphasis on Mass Effect 2 than Mass Effect 1. For example, an often cited theme of the story is one of companionship, and the ending ignores this by focusing entirely on Shepard. Compare this to the ending of Mass Effect 2, which was a team effort and the strength of your relationships with crew members determined who survived. However, the first game didn't have any moments like this. Companions played a support role similar to many other RPGs. They helped you shoot stuff, but didn't determine the ending.
Alistair becomes a king, potentially? That's not a side role. That's a pretty...
You need Liara to get anywhere in the story. She's meant to get her abilities. I mean, you could have gotten any other Asari, but because...
You needed Tali as well. Yep. Because without that, you wouldn't have found the evidence.
Garrus is skippable, technically. And Rex...
But he's Garrus, though. So
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Garrus and Rex are like just... They're Garrus and Rex, so they're just mandatory, regardless of whether you do. If you don't have them, you just...
Yeah, they're technically support, so they're not vital to the plot, but... Yeah, Tali gets involved. Liara gets involved. I wouldn't say that the Vermeer survivor gets involved, but they're still part of the main plot. That's it.
If it wasn't for Anderson putting you forward for Spectre,
yep.
Udina as well, vouching for humanity.
Anderson breaking the lock on the ship so you can take
in
order to save the galaxy to get to Ilos.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of supporting characters doing plot
integral things. Yeah.
Another common theme I see mentioned is one of choice and how you don't really have one here. Well, obviously you do have a choice, but it's a different type of choice to the ones you usually make. There doesn't seem to be a clear Paragon and Renegade option for a start. I'd argue that the Destroy option is the Paragon choice and the Control option is the Renegade choice, but it's not clear and is certainly up for debate. What is clear is that there's an obvious dissatisfaction with the choices available, and while not many people come out and say it directly, a lot of players clearly wanted a happy ending.
It's not about a happy ending. I'm sure people love happy endings and love stories and all that crap, but we're talking about choices having value. In order for a choice to have value, you have to understand the consequences. You have to understand what it means. In the first game, you didn't know what the consequences were because it's the first game. You're like, save the Rachni, maybe not, who knows? And then you find out in the third game, it's completely irrelevant. That is a bad resolution to a choice. It pisses people off. I still talk about how ridiculously dumb it was. And for them to take the Rachni and then retard them into the ending that we have now makes the value of what you're doing infuriating, because it is so dumb and so illogical and so inconsistent and so thematically broken that you just sit there and you drop your controller and you're like, what the hell happened here, BioWare? That's why we hate the choices. Not because it needs a happy ending. A happy ending is the MEHEM mod. That's preferable to the ending because it cuts out the ending. It cuts out the crap that we don't like, that makes this gigantic mess. Not all of it, but enough for us to go, oh God, I can understand. It's things are happening. That's it. We need our choices to make sense, and for us to understand at least the surface level of their consequences. We don't need to know the details. That's why we have a denouement, and that's totally fine. Same with Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines, the first one. You side with the Chinese vampires for whatever reason, and they kill you. at the end, or they entrap you in the tomb. It's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, but you know why you chose them in the first place, even though they were sort of like the bad guys, the bad vampires, untrustworthy.
Maybe I'm being a bit unfair in my reading of random online comments, but you can tell that people wanted an ending that would constitute a clear win state, whereas what they got was a bunch of shitty options. As I said, I believe the destroy option is the paragon choice, and it meets the end goal of destroying the Reapers, the thing we've been working towards the entire trilogy. But it also has the most drastic consequences, killing all the Geth and Edie in the process. The control option lets everyone live, including the Reapers, but leaves you with the feeling that you didn't accomplish your goal, and with the knowledge that you aligned yourself with Cerberus.
Did you? You killed Cerberus. You literally shot him, or he shot himself in the head. At that point, you're God Emperor Shepard. Who the hell cares? You're dead. Dead. Oh well, I aligned myself with Cerberus. Shucks.
Well, keep in mind, it's the whole idea of we've been told consistently throughout the entire series, anytime you touch Reaper technology, it will always control you. And then it's like, oh yeah, we can just totally control them now. It's like, oh, all right, cool beans. Never knew that would happen. You know, it's like, what?
That's so consistent. I'm so glad the storytelling is so consistent. It's a great ending there.
This could be seen as a happy ending, but I found it hard to force such a drastic decision on the entire galaxy. All choices were flawed, and the good choice was perhaps the hardest of all to make. This sure seems inconsistent with the relatively happy ending to Mass Effect 2, where everyone can live.
I didn't quite grasp that. The good choice is hard to make, but they're all flawed. It's like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. Well, at least it didn't go full space dock, where it was like the destroy ending's the perfect ending.
It's
like
the only ending. It's the only one. No choice is the only choice.
Yeah. Great. That's awesome. I just completely contradict
that logic. It just works so well.
But personally, I can't think of a more apt ending to a series that forced me to leave a companion to die in the very first game. There was no way to save both Ashley and Kaidan. I also watched Mordin, Legion and Thane die in front of me. The story of Mass Effect 3 is that all progress comes at a cost. With that in mind, the ending hardly seems inconsistent.
Okay, yeah, I understand that choices are not equal and everything comes at a cost, but you want the value of what's going on to make some goddamn sense. You want to feel satisfied in what you've chosen. Even if what you've chosen is the exact opposite of what you got, you chose it for the right reasons.
It's also going against BioWare's general mechanical rule of the 100%, whereby you can do everything right. And now they're just suddenly flipping around, kind of going, "Oh no! There's only these options available." And you're like, "No, you're going against what you've previously done before. So why now?" You know what I mean? It's like if you want to save Connor and Dragon Age, you have to go all the way through the Mage Tower and do all that kind of. If you want to save everything, you have to work your butt off, but the option is there. It's the same thing with Mass Effect 2 and things like that. The Vermine Survivor thing was a neat little option. Don't get me wrong, but it was actually hardly impactful. You know.
And they actually were originally designing it so that you could save both, and they took it out.
Yes.
So, for dramatic reasons, who knows? Anyway, I just got another super chat. I wouldn't mind a D&D GURPS scenario. That's interesting, a GURPS scenario. Or JRPG fan game. JRPG fan game of Mass Effect using Mass Effect... Oh, my Mass Effect 2 rewrites. Or 3. I don't know. That's... I'm trying to remember what the hell I wrote. That was a long time ago. Even a source mod if people wanted some kind of FPS. I don't know. Again, throughout this entire showing with UDP and myself, we've been fixing problems just by brainstorming after 30 seconds or so. So, you could probably write a pretty good, or someone could make a mod and just randomly put sentences together and make a more Mass Effect experience than the ending was. So, thank you. I appreciate that, but.
You can eat a thesaurus and you come up with better ideas than Mass Effect 3.
It's kind of sad.
Everyone will view Mass Effect through their own lens, which will be blurred by their own personal experiences. There can't be one particular theme for the series because reasonable minds will differ.
Yes, there is. Again, we can observe the content of 1, 2, and 3 and see what the main conflict is. A minor or major theme. And that's it. We can do it. Unless your definition of theme is something else, then okay, you're probably right. But again, try to take a more objective approach to looking at what you're doing, what you're talking about, so you understand the people who say when something is bad and they point out this and they say this theme is not applicable or not mirroring another theme that we've already had, then that's what you have to look at. You can't just say, oh, it's all subjective. It's like, no. If they're saying this specific theme, then you have to take that perspective. You can't just make up your own perspective.
I only wish to make the point that the ending can be seen as thematically consistent under certain theories. I see the trilogy playing out under three main themes which are all represented in the ending choices, some better than others. There's the importance of working together and overcoming our differences, what it means to be alive, and indoctrination. Shepard starts out working for the Alliance, however to stop Sauron she has to work with other species. In the second game Shepard works for Cerberus.
Does she work with other species? I guess.
You work for the council, really.
But then you're above the law. Then you're like, I am in charge of everything now. Get out of my way or I'll shoot you.
Yeah.
So technically you deal with other species, but you're not necessarily working with them. You don't have to. You can go renegade and just get the hell out of my way and shoot everyone. So, again, this is the nature of the game, so it's like, it goes either way.
Pro-human terrorist organisation. However, even they see the situation as so desperate that it requires temporary cooperation with other species.
Means to an end, that's true. But then, Tim goes nuts, so...
Yeah.
Is that
Screwed
consistent?
him.
Yeah, I guess it's consistent. He's crazy.
Well, he actually pointed out in his earlier discussion whereby Tim would never, even in the novels, Tim would never actually do this to himself. So it's like he's just inconsistent. He's written as a Saturday morning cartoon villain who's now just turned into a megalomaniac.
Yeah.
I want all the power.
I will become the Reapers, and then I will control myself. It's like, what? Okay.
The entirety of Mass Effect 3 is about getting everyone on the same page to fight the Reapers. Humanity can't do it alone. While it sounds a little cheesy, Mass Effect is essentially telling us that we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, but are stronger together. This is seen throughout the side stories as well. The whole Genophage story is about trying to restrict diversity due to fear of the Krogan, and you can even look to things like the Asari deliberately choosing mates from other species because they want to diversify their genetic line.
Right. Right, okay. You can kill the Krogan, but yet he doesn't mention the fact of the Krogan rebellions. Like, why was the Genophage put upon them in the first place? Because they were overpopulating, they were expanding out, being very aggressive amongst the other species, and they had to be culled. Why isn't that mentioned in the organic system? It's because they're organic. Oh, right, okay. No one cares.
That's not working together. That's like, okay, we gotta kill this species off somehow.
Yeah. It's like we don't want to kill them off majorly, but we're gonna have to basically geld them.
Yeah. Right. So I guess that's an example of working together.
Yeah, it's like we're working together for stillborns. That's a real good. Yeah, that's good.
Bravo.
Yeah. Go Team Milky Way.
When species don't work together, it often causes problems, such as the Quarians creating and then going to war with the Geth, or the Asari keeping the Prothean artifact on Thessia a secret. We all need to work together, so would it be better if we all had more in common? Do you believe different species will inherently seek to look after themselves first and foremost? If so, perhaps synthesizing everyone to be part synthetic would encourage us to work together. Throughout the series...
Encourage? You are all the same. You're all green.
Super green.
You're forced. There's no different. Everyone's the same. The super uniformity. It's like, okay, yeah. I guess you're now forced to work together. That's the theme of the story. Oh my god.
Series, you're regularly tested on your respect for non-organic life, in particular the Geth. Are the Geth truly alive? There's plenty of evidence to suggest they are, even before Legion's actions on Rannoch. Quarians created the Geth but terminated them when they asked whether they have a soul. Geth worked with the Reapers because they saw the Reapers as God. You could even question Shepard herself. Mass Effect 2 starts with Shepard brought back to life after being left as basically a brain on a stick. Is she still the same Shepard? She was dead for 2 years after all. What about her clone? Were the Geth alive when they were a collective conscience? What about after they gain some individuality? Does that change anything? If so, why? Is Edie alive before getting a robot body? What about after? Paragon Shep treats the Geth as people, and Renegade Shep doesn't. This is a crucial part of the entire trilogy. The ending once again tests your beliefs. Most people will want to destroy the Reapers at the end. After all, that's what we've been trying to do for about 100 hours at this point. However, destroying the Reapers means destroying the Geth and Edie because they have Reaper tech in them. Would you make the same decision if the choice involved killing all Asari or Turians or even humans? Or is it actually the case that despite playing as a Paragon the entire time and paying lip service to the idea of Geth being people, you actually see them as lesser beings not worthy of equal protection?
Okay, I'm just totally lost on what he's trying to convey here. He gave us a bunch of examples of questions about what is the nature of the Geth and Edie, and it's like, okay, yeah, I follow you. And it's like, well, what if you were to kill the Asari? It's like, okay, and? Like, what is,
yeah.
What is he getting at?
I don't know. It's kind of strange where he talks about you just want to kill them because they have Reaper technology, but once again, right, in the Destroy ending, Shepard basically gets told, you know, if you destroy this thing will kill you too. And obviously Shepard will wake up. And then obviously you see the little breath thing. It's like, oh, Shepard's alive. And it's like, well, that means anyone who has Reaper technology can potentially still live. And more to the point, he completely ignores the fact that Legion actually goes against what he said in Mass Effect 2. Legion, the reason why there was a schism was because the heretics wanted Reaper technology, and the Legion's Geth were like, we don't want Reaper technology. We never wanted it. We want to take our own path and see how we can do it. Self-determination. That's actually, dare I say that, that's one of the core things of of Legion's Geth. And now in Mass Effect 3, they're like, oh yeah, this Reaper technology, it's fantastic. Let's just ignore the fact that we've just been turned into killing machines. Like, we've never wanted to kill our creators, but after killing our creators using this Reaper technology, we find it to be really useful.
Yeah, and they were apparently forced to use it because they were finally making an assault on the Geth. It's like, okay, then everyone suddenly became heretics. And you're like, oh, okay. But Legion's still Legion. And you're like, wait a second. That implies they're already individuals because Legion would have been part of the consensus and everything would have worked out, but you know, they wouldn't have crucified him on a starship or whatever the hell that was. So that's already explained that they went that route. They made their choice.
And once again, there's no option of kind of going, get Legion. Do you really want these upgrades? Do you really need them? You know, you've said to me, like, there's no counter to that. Shepard doesn't even bother mentioning the fact of the Reaper upgrades or anything. And that's the thing that really annoys me. You know, it's like, we need to be alive. Right. What do you mean by to be alive? You know, like the whole idea of the world in terms of the existence of, like, you look at the Rachni, are they alive? Do we consider them to be alive? Because they're a hive mind kind of process.
Right.
Yes, they are. They're just a different form of consciousness that we can't really necessarily comprehend, but given time, we shall. It's like, it just takes time.
Yeah, these are all interesting ideas. I'm just trying to see what he's trying to prove.
I know. I'm just trying to get ahead. It's just,
I chose the destroy option. If the facts had been slightly different and the destroy option would have wiped out all human life, I might have gone with the control option. So I guess I'm not that much of a paragon after all. The idea of control and indoctrination has also been a consistent theme throughout. Indoctrination is one of the main tools at the Reaper's disposal, and plenty of other species have a similar ability, such as the Leviathan, Rachni and Thorian. Being able to turn this around and use it against the Reapers...
the Rachni do not have the ability to control minds. They have the ability to control corpses to interact with other species, but it's very weird.
Yeah, they have the weird telepathic ability to influence their children with songs. It's a teaching tool. So they're not really interested in dominating or killing other species. They just got infected by Reaper songs.
Yeah, basically, Sovereign came along and released the brown note to that guy.
Sour notes, yeah. So, not really.
Feels incredibly fitting. The control option doesn't exactly come out of the blue either, because Cerberus was looking for a way to control the Reapers instead of destroying them.
Yeah, and they failed. And then Deus Ex Machina comes by and says, look what we have. Thanks.
Overall, the indoctrination stuff does feel a touch abandoned. It came up so often that I felt sure it would play more of a role at the end, or that
Tim was indoctrinated. It was this whole thing. I can control them. No, they're controlling you. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Oh.
that we would find out why so many species seem to have the same ability. But control over other life is undeniably a recurring theme, and it's represented in the ending. The last major complaint I saw repeated frequently was that the ending does not give enough weight to choices you made during the course of the trilogy. I don't want to write this one off entirely because it certainly could have been done better, and BioWare set themselves up for ridicule with the way they presented the final choice and the fact that all the endings look the same with just a different colour scheme. It's easy to see where this criticism comes from. In that final scene, you are given a choice of 4 possibilities, 3 in the original edit, and you're free to pick any of them if you have a high enough effective military strength. It doesn't matter what you did about the Genophage or the Rachni or the Geth. It doesn't matter whether Ashley's alive or Kaidan or who survived the climax to Mass Effect 2. None of that determines your ending, or at least it doesn't if you consider the ending to be only the last 15 minutes. I know it sounds like a cop-out, but I consider the entirety of Mass Effect 3 as the conclusion to this story.
Yes, Mass Effect 3's ending is the end of the series. That's true. What's your point?
I guess he's trying to look at Mass Effect 3 as the ending itself. Like, this is the end piece, and you're just like, well, no, because then it'd still be inconsistent within its own, like, because Mass Effect 2 is basically off Pluto way. That thing just is doing its own thing, has nothing to do with any connectivity or whatsoever, aside from a few threads here and there on the optional side missions. Mass Effect 1 ended strongly, and it just went all to pot after that.
Yeah, you can completely not play Mass Effect 2, and you'd be in the same place you were at the beginning of Mass Effect 3. Would have been like, yeah, who cares?
The third part in a trilogy, it's only natural.
And then sorry as well. Actually, it's like, okay, you didn't play for Mass Effect 2, so you couldn't get Legion's whole thing, and then you pick Destroy. It's like, well, you killed the Geth. Well, the Geth weren't a problem for me then because I didn't care about it. So, you know,
yeah. And all your choices in the first game are moot anyway. The Rachni are made totally irrelevant.
They got captured again.
Oh, yeah, if you save them, or they get brought back magically because why not?
Yes.
What other? There was no real major choices in Mass Effect 1 that had an impact on anything.
Nope. You put Anderson in charge of the council. He basically got bored and basically went, I want to become an admiral again. A ground-based admiral. Let's just completely forget about that.
Yeah, saving the council at the end doesn't matter. It just gets replaced anyway.
They don't care. It's like nothing really matters. Everyone's replaceable. There's no actual impact. It's just it's a large universe where only change happens microscopically, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's pretty moot. Like that's the problem with the ending. All your choices really do not matter. Everything gets reduced to your EMS score, which is pathetic. I mean, it's elegant if you're talking about trying to accumulate all these choices into one factor, but it's also minimalizing all the value and almost eliminating the value of what you've done. So instead of expanding upon what the choice makes, it just kills it. You know, the Rachni is the best example. It just makes it moot. And to make like something like Kaylee Sanders twice as strong as the 4th Fleet or whatever the hell the number was, it's like, come on. They didn't even get the math right. Like, if you're going to do it, get it right. Just get your math right, and I'll back you up on that choice, or the design decision. But they couldn't even do that. They were just like, DLC, 5 points here, 5 points there. You got a talking head. Okay, it's like 2 points. Like, no, this is stupid.
Subplots start getting wrapped up before the final scene. You can't save everything for the last 15 minutes. This is one criticism that makes me a little annoyed because it does a huge injustice to the incredible writing beforehand.
Oh, wait a second. We might be agreeing on something here.
When people complain about the lack of payoff for your choices, did they not see Mordin sacrifice his life to end the Genophage? Or watch Legion die to ensure the survival of the Geth race? Or reunite with Jack at Grissom Academy?
Yeah, but
which you can kill off in the ending. I've just worked my butt off to save the synthetic life. What's that? I need to kill off all synthetic life. Okay, boop. No problem there.
Did you know the whole problem of the story is synthetic life is going to kill all organic life? Oh.
Okay. It's gonna think I've got no memory over this.
Who knows what happened the past 2 other games? I don't know.
These scenes were some of the best in the trilogy and wrapped up long-running plot threads. It's weird to me that people complain about not getting payoff just because it didn't technically happen in the last 15 minutes.
It's supposed to happen in the last... It's the ending. Where is it going to happen? I mean, it could happen beforehand, but then the plot thread is done, and it's like, who cares? Then there's denouement, and then denouement's like, here's a slideshow. Look, babies. It's like, okay. Yay, Tuchanka.
I'm not too sure what people were expecting here. Was there supposed to be a different ending for every set of decisions you made throughout the...
Yes. Yes, that's it. You make a choice, it has a payoff. Where's the payoff? At the ending. We see the culmination of your choices. That's it. You can do a 20-minute Fallout ending where it's like this faction did this, and there's a little text, and like, you know how Dragon Age did it, Origins, same idea. Would have been fine.
Game. Should every conversation option be taken into account to give you your own personal ending?
That would have been really sweet. Obviously very complicated to do, but if they can't write a good story, at least give us the examples of our choices having an impact. That's it. That would have worked too.
You only need a basic grasp of maths to realise that's frankly impossible.
No, it's not. You had they were tracking like 500 variables, maybe 600. Hey, make a 30-minute ending. Make a 32-minute ending. Oh my goodness, an extra paragraph. You know, the Nazi sisters or whatever were cloned again and came back. I don't care. Whatever. That weird missile, whatever side mission in Mass Effect 2 where you blew up a base or the civilian depot or whatever. It's like, tell us, what the hell was that about? Why did we even do that? Choices are supposed to matter, so make them matter. That's it.
So presumably it's fair to restrict it to just the major decisions, but most of them are taken care of.
Yeah, like the Rachni. Oh, they're just, slaves again. Oh, you killed them? Oh, that's okay. We'll bring them back. Great choice. Great option.
The gaff. We're not going to join the Reapers. We're not going to join the Reapers. Hey, buddy, we just joined the Reapers for no reason. Right, Quarians, don't attack the gaff. Don't attack the gaff. Don't attack. You're attacking the gaff, aren't you? Oh my God, you people are just... You know what? No. Nuke everything. Nuke the galaxy. The ending of everything just being destroyed is the official ending now, because this is the only way to stop the stupidity.
Arrival DLC, Overlord DLC. It's just an EMS. That's it. It's EMS.
Oh, man.
The major omission to me is any consequence for your decision on what to do with the collector data at the end of Mass Effect 2. I'm also a touch disappointed...
Which makes everything moot. It's like, oh, you got the heart or you got the brain. Whoop-de-doo. It's still there. Cerberus still recovered it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, how did they get through the Omega-4, really? Nobody knows.
It's a mystery. Yeah, you don't want to piss off players by minimalizing the things they did. You want to elevate them. You want to say, wow, you made that choice? This is what happened. Like the one with the Overlord DLC. Not a big deal. You gave him to... You did the Paragon option, you freed him, and he's like, hey, you saved my life. It's like, yeah, I did. Simple. Easy. It was like 10 seconds. I'm counting the number of days I've been alive since you say, or whatever the line was. It's like, beautiful. That was it. Was that so hard? I don't think so. Maybe, again, if you're doing a cinematic game, your pipeline is designed to do it. So spend the extra month or two. Get all those choices pumped out. Done. Have Shepard go through a victory run and he just talks to people. That would have worked. Or maybe if Shepard's dead, have someone else run around. Have Garrus run around. He's like, I'm making sure everyone's okay. My buddy's gone. I want to make sure everything. And they say, oh, Shepard did this for me. I wish I could thank him. Shepard did that for me. I wish I could kick his ass. I'm glad he's dead. Whatever. Something to resonate with the player. What they did. Give us some value.
with the Rachni questline and the use of Malon's data. This again comes down to an issue of execution. These parts could have been better incorporated into the relevant missions, but it wouldn't have made any difference to the eventual ending.
Yes, it would have. Yes, that you just said it comes down to execution. Oh, it doesn't matter how you execute it because it wouldn't change anything. It's like you just said it comes down to execution. If it's better executed, yes, it will make an impact on the ending. You will have a different ending. You will have different cutscenes. You will have different slideshows or text on the screen or whatever. There will be different resolution. There will be different denouement. There will be different everything based on the execution. Yeah, the outcome could be exactly the same. It's how you do it. It's how you present your choice and its effects to the audience that matters. You could make the Rachni and their choice as stupid as it was, so long as I believe it and it's executed well. Great. I'll be behind you if you still like the Rachni choice, if you think, it could have been executed better. Totally agree. But you have to execute it better. You can't
What
just
is
say
this talent skill?
What is this storytelling ability you have? I don't understand how this works.
Nothing in the previous game suggested that these decisions would have a significant impact on the ending.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
Nothing? The creators? Choices matter? Get ready for, the game of the year or whatever? Nothing. No hype. Jeez. I guess he doesn't watch any marketing. I don't know.
In fact, we're consistently shown that our choices dictate the nature of our experience, not the precise story events, especially when carried forward from one game to another.
Okay, in Mass Effect 2, there was the Asari, who was like the representative of the Rachni, and she was like, "There's going to be this big thing happening. We're gonna fight with you. We're gonna bring back. We're gonna have this fleet coming." It's like, okay, we're expecting something to happen. What happens? The same, as if she wasn't there. That's not me thinking a choice is going to have an impact or an outcome. That's the game telling us something's going to happen. And then just going, nope. Same thing. Make no difference. You just saved an entire species that nearly destroyed the galaxy. And they're saying they're going to come back and help you fight the big baddie. And they get demolished or turned into a slave. Or brought back and turned into a slave.
And once again, the whole thing is not about the galaxy working together to resolve this fate, to defeat this major threat. It just comes down to, once again, Shepard solving it. It's at least with like Dragon Age Origins, you get the impression why you needed a Grey Warden to defeat only Grey Wardens needed to defeat an Archdemon. But Mass Effect isn't flipping Dragon Age. It's kind of Shepard rallying the galaxy together to try and do something, to try and defeat the Reapers. That's all what needed to be done. Was just have an ending upon whereby you have a large fleet battle, a large ground pound battle. It could be as cinematic as you ever wanted, and that's it.
You could
Simple.
win, you could lose. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just present it well, as he said. It's execution. It's how you present it, and you explain why things happen the way they do. If a bomb just went off and blew up the planet, and at the end you'd be like, "This is not a good ending." Okay, nothing was resolved. Just boom. Like, okay, not good. And that's kind of what we got the first run through. It's like this big explosion, the galaxy goes boom, and you're like, what just happened? So they left so many questions open, and the extended cut tried to bandage that, and it did do a bandage, but it didn't stop the bleeding. The bleeding is still, the holes are still there.
Well, it's like, it's put in the medical analogy. This is like repairing the slight cut on the arm, whereas like you've got both your legs blown off and you've got a catastrophic it's like, don't worry, love, I'm just gonna rub some lavender on you. That's the Sentinel DLC.
If you killed Rex on Vermeer, the result is that there's a different clan leader in Mass Effect 2. The same storyline is still there, you just deal with different people. It comes down to what you value. Are decisions only important if they directly impact the ending, or can they change the experience?
Actually, speaking of which, when he was talking about previously, like the whole idea of you don't know about the past and whatnot, if he's going to use, let's say, if Reeves in charge and the Krogan are going down one path, and if Rex in charge and go down the other path, well, once again, in 200 years' time, the Krogan might be different. Rex might be killed off, and the Krogan might start up the rebellions again, and they might need to be wiped out. You know what I mean? You can't, like, it's just this whole thing. It's just, it annoys me. The whole, like, you can't predict the future. Yeah, that's why you keep the diplomatic doors always open to people. You don't nuke them.
Yeah, that was the mentality behind playing Mass Effect 2, because it was pointless, but you had all this stuff, and you're like, well, this has to mean something, so don't get rid of anything. Don't kill anyone off. You know, just get as much as you can and accumulate it, because who the hell knows what they're going to do with it later.
In some other way. For me, there's a huge difference between negotiating a peace between Geth and Quarians that allows them to share their home planet going forward, and watching Tali commit suicide as the Quarians are wiped out. Okay, it doesn't affect the final scene, but it's still a decision with important consequence.
Until you get to the final scene, and then you wipe them all out anyway.
Yeah, it's just no biggie. You just wiped out an entire species that you tried to save.
Or you turn them all into green synthetic people, and then your entire struggle is moot, regardless of what you chose. It would be even worse if you killed one or the other off.
Yeah, imagine if you killed off the Quarians and then you choose Destroy Engine.
You wipe two species out.
Whoops! And then you go and kill Morden, so you go and wipe out the Krogan. And then you go and kill the Rachni. Like, Shepard's just this one person genocide machine. It's like, hey, Reapers, I can do your job single-handed.
Don't worry about synthetics, worry about me.
Commander Shepard's the Captain Janeway of Mass Effect.
Please mutiny someone. Anyone.
Chakotay, do something.
I thought you were the rebel, Chakotay. What's going on?
Yeah, why?
If player expectations seemed a bit out of line, well, BioWare didn't help themselves in that regard. Fans of the series have dug up plenty of examples of BioWare employees saying things about Mass Effect 3 while it was still in development, and that led to accusations of the fans being lied to. If you follow online communities, then you'll know that lying to the community is basically a war crime.
Yes.
Except with lying to the community, people actually demand punishment.
Getting fired would be nice.
The timing and context of the statement doesn't matter. The responsibility
of BioWare don't punish people. They elevate their position.
They promote them.
Yeah, they promote them.
What?
It's like,
Matt
good job.
Walters wrote the Garrus? Let's put him in charge. What?
Yeah, put him in charge of Andromeda while he's writing there for Anthem as well. He can do 2 jobs.
That's great. Great idea.
Consumer to do research before spending money doesn't matter, and all other evidence to the contrary is considered irrelevant. If any reading of any statement can be translated as a lie or worse, an insult to the community, then you can be sure there will be an angry forum post about it. In the case of comments about Mass Effect 3's ending, it's mostly a bunch of marketing puff statements that don't mean anything when you look closer, or are taken completely out of context. There's a post on GameFAQs titled BioWare's Lies Condensed, and it's quite frankly laughable.
Yeah, okay, that's not the best source if you want a list of all the lies. I'm sure it's out there.
But saying there won't be an ABC ending, saying that your choices will all matter in the end, yeah, that is lying. And BioWare do it consistently. They lied in Inquisition. They lied with Dragon Age. Did they lie with Dragon Age 2? I forget. I think it was kind of over the head though. But they lied with Andromeda. They lied about Anthem, that's for sure. Yeah, good track record there, you know.
Yeah,
at least they're consistent.
Yeah, so they are consistently lying, and people are calling them out for it. And they can claim, you know, artistic integrity or
transparency. I think was the biggest
whatever.
one.
I mean, I'm surprised. You kind of wonder why they locked or deleted the BioWare forums after all these. Like, why would a dev team or company get rid of their forums? Oh, we're not communicating as effectively as we could have if we didn't have forums. It's like, what are you talking about? They're your forums. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you like. They're yours. It's like, no, we're going to shut them down. Why? Because people were complaining all the time.
Yeah.
Why else would they? Oh yeah, we can communicate better on social media. No, you can't. You can't communicate better on Twitter. You can't communicate better on YouTube. Go to the forums. Get an email going. Get a dialogue going. Instead of just talking to journalists whenever you want to say something, or going to E3.
Yeah. But we're going to talk to a bunch of sycophants. That's our only option right now.
Yeah, go to the forums where people are bashing you around and with evidence saying, look, this is what you said. This is what you produced. How is this what the same? And you can, again, they can apologize there. They can explain themselves there. But if you don't, you take that away. What do they got? Blog.bioware.com now? Casey not really apologizing about Anthem?
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
Like that's much better. Yeah, they're communicating so much clearer that way. Give me a break.
But yeah, it's like this whole idea of when you say this will be a feature and you have confirmed it, like, yes, this is a feature, it's in the game, we've got it working, and then it isn't, and you wonder why people get mad at you, it's because you lied to them. You didn't update the people and kind of go, sorry, this was conflicting with this. We had to remove it. We may do it in next.
Yeah, look at what he's actually quoting. He's saying it's laughable. The presence of the rat.
All the lies that they promised. It's like, yeah.
Was a huge consequence in Mass Effect 3, even just in the final battle with the Reapers. It's like, no. It had zero value. That's Mac Walters. I'm always leery of saying there are optimal endings because I think one of the things we do try to do is make a different ending that are optimal for different people. So I guess EMS is irrelevant. The thing we designed is irrelevant. Okay, like we can go through this. I'm not going to bother. But
yeah,
did he even read this?
I actually showed that to you last year, I think. It's just like I actually read through some of those comments, and it was just the stuff that they were promising was like really ridiculous, and they wonder why people got angry about it.
You know, to be honest, you, the fans, are crafting your Mass Effect story as much as we are anyway. What the hell does that mean? You're as much a writer as we are. Are you kidding me? Oh my! This is just silly. We're gonna keep going.
Examples of the lies include stuff that no one should take seriously, like, quote, experience the beginning, middle and end of an emotional story where the decisions you make completely shape your experience and outcome, end quote. I have no idea how that's a lie, and you really shouldn't be getting mad at marketing puff like that anyway.
Yeah, okay, we'll just not listen to marketing then.
Right.
Just disregard it.
So this is the same thing with the Anthem thing where it's like, this is the cost of transparency. What they've basically just said to us is this: don't trust us. Whatever we say may not be in the game. We always lie by our game.
Yes.
There you go.
If you look at the 2017 Anthem reveal and the trailers that came after, it was all your own story. It's going to be your own. You're the hero of your own adventure. It's like, no. The choices don't matter. The characters don't matter. Everyone gets the same ending. It's like, what are you talking about? There's no storytelling here.
It's like they basically just said, don't trust us. You can't trust us with anything. Whatever we say, we can change it on a dime. You can't, and you have no right to complain about it. Like, that's what they want.
Have you ever seen marketing materials describe the product in less than glowing terms? This is just the crap people say when promoting a new product.
Right. When a car says it has 4 wheels and it turns up with 1, it's not a car. It's a brick. It's a flipping brick. It's useless. And you have the right to complain. It's got a steering wheel and everything, you know.
They were tracking like 500 or 700 variables, whatever it was.
We did focus groups, and we found out that most people don't like 3 wheels on cars. So we got rid of 3 wheels on cars. Now you only have 1.
I'm glad they did all this importing of their saves. But if the importing of your save doesn't have any impact, it's like, what's the point?
Regardless of what happens in Star Wars Episode 9, I don't imagine many of the promotional materials will state that the ending of the trilogy is really bad and that people will feel let down. Then there's general comments from developers like, you the fans are creating the Mass Effect experience as much as we are, and how the fans are the co-creators of the series. Again, I don't see how that's a lie, although it is deeply disappointing to hear.
It's a lie. What part of that don't you grasp? What does that even mean? You're making your own story? Are you writing the story? How many choices are there? Holy crap, is every freaking sentence going to be like a multiple choice? Like what?
Going to have a text-to-speech device with Shepard, like you're going to have Mark Mears and Jennifer Hale with like doing out every single word.
Yeah.
Like,
modulated Jennifer Hale, that'd be hilarious. like what do you expect? It's either gross exaggeration or hyperbole, which is a lie, or it's actual lies. Which one do you want?
I don't want fans to be the co-creators of the story, especially not judging by the dribble you see online.
But they are, because they said we are, and we're not. It's a lie. What, like, does he understand the word lie? I'm just like, English is like words, meaning.
I want the artists to create the work they want to create and the customer to experience it.
Yeah, so do I. But they said we were the creators as much as they were, so go figure.
To the extent we shape the experience, it should be in the ways intended by the developers through the choices they provide. Video games are art. That should be beyond dispute at this point.
He hasn't
However, this
read,
kind of
was it Armando Gavici, who's talking about the agreement? It's about giving the choices that players want.
Right.
Yeah, it's like he did that massive presentation, for Mass Effect 2, and it's like, you don't want to annoy the players because they are expecting, within the confines of your character, certain things. And if you go off the rails with it, they're not going to be happy with it. Yeah,
Armando Troisi, I think his name. Yeah,
Troisi,
that's the guy. I still think he's the guy who made Mass Effect 2 the experience it was, because he had that artistic vision to create cutscenes that had good camera angles, good choices, good impacts. And he got cut. They didn't bring him back.
We can't have too many Miranda angles in Mass Effect 3.
As silly as those angles were, they weren't that long. It was like it was like maybe 5 seconds depending on how long you took to make a choice, right? And it was, so what? You get to see your hindquarters. Whoop-de-doo.
Crap doesn't help the conversation. You don't often hear authors or directors talk about how fans are shaping the experience.
I know. That's why this is a lie.
Those mediums have a little more confidence in their artistry and don't feel the need to pander to fans quite so often. It would be a lot easier to convince people of the artistic value of video games if developers were allowed to stick to their own artistic vision and deliver on it instead of constantly worrying about fan blowback. There is one major comment I've not yet discussed, and that's one by Casey Hudson, who in an interview with Game Informer said that the endings would be sophisticated and you wouldn't be able to say how many there were. He said it wouldn't come down to a choice of choosing between A, B or C. This led to another popular meme because, of course, on the face of it, Mass Effect 3 did end with a choice between 3 options.
Okay, so he's admitting this very clear statement by Casey Hudson and what we actually got. This is history. This is proof. There's no argument here. He said something and it ended up happening. Okay? It's just that obvious. I just want to be clear. He is aware of this. He's giving proof. Thank you.
It's perfect for a meme. Nice and straightforward and an easy way to get angry.
About the ending. Right. To use Dragon Age Origins as a good example, what does that involve? Defeating the Archdemon. You're not talking to the Archdemon. You're not trying to merge Darkspawn and Elven life together or anything like that. How does it end? It involves either you or Alistair jamming a sword in its flipping skull to kill it. That's it. That's the ending of the Archdemon. You then have the resolution to the ending. That's it. That's all what we wanted, was just the Reapers to be destroyed. We didn't want an ABC or anything like that. We just wanted an epilogue. Like, goodness sake, why is this so hard?
Get a developer and convince others to feel the same way. And yeah, it was a stupid statement to make. I've no idea why Hudson phrased it in that way. He set himself up for ridicule here. Hudson's statement wasn't prepared, he was speaking off the cuff, but he should have been more careful. I'd still argue that he's right in spirit because everyone's story ends differently.
He's right in spirit. That is the dumbest defense I have ever heard. He's admitting he's wrong, but he's really right in spirit. What?
Technically, he's right, but actually he's wrong. So by going off by the technicality...
This is a line this guy wrote down in a script and thought, yeah, this is a good thing to say. It's like, yeah, Your Honor, I didn't murder this man, even though I did, but in spirit, I was saving him. It's like, wait a second.
So just ignore the line of me saying, I'm going to get that stupid bugger. I wish him dead.
The endings aren't really A, B, and C, but they are.
They're not ABC, they're R, B, and G. Get it right, Smud. I mean, come on.
But you know what? Casey Hudson was right in spirit, because they're technically three of them. I don't know. I don't get this reasoning. He's proving a truth, and then he's going, nah, it doesn't matter.
Outside of the major choice, you then have the situation on Earth to consider, the fate of the Normandy crew, the future of the Krogan, Quarians and Geth.
Yes, there are many reasons why you make a choice. That does not negate the fact that there are only three. Wow.
Plus variations depending on your romantic partner if you had one. Very few people will see the exact same resolution.
I don't think people actually got to this part of his movie or his video because it's freaking an hour and 15 minutes, and would not have commented on this or up or downvoted it because it's just like, it's too long. I can't sit through this crap. There's no, because as soon as they hear that, they're like, dude, you're wrong. You're wrong, and you're. Why are you defending Casey Hudson?
Like, there's nothing wrong with BioWare just turning around and saying, yeah, we made a bad game that time.
Yeah.
Game developers do it all the time. Even established, renowned ones kind of go, yeah, we made a bad game. Deus Ex, Human Revolution, they apologized for the boss battles because they were like, yeah, we outsourced it, we shouldn't. It's just, there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, we messed up.
There's nothing saying, like, you know what, we bit off more than we can chew. The game was really hard. We had so many variables. We're working on our time limit. We're sorry. Done. Thank you. You guys, try again next time. I'll look at Andromeda if I think about it. Nope. Didn't apologize. They did nothing wrong. They didn't lie.
It's like
what?
The best way I can describe it is, it's if like the Titanic's on fire and BioWare's only solution is to fill it with water to put out the fire.
Yeah, it's just, and we have this guy defending him. Like again, we see examples of people defending the BioWare Defense Force. What do we call these people? They can't be wrong. Anthem is an amazing game. Oh, it's broken now, but it'll get better. Like, there's no end to this.
Yeah.
When given evidence, that's why you just do not talk to these people. You do not listen to these people. They cannot be argued with.
Is this the reason why we should always have religion in our lives now? Because this is what happens. This is what happens when we killed God.
Oh.
We've abandoned, and this is what we have forsaken.
To the story, if we look outside.
We can stop right now because everything after this point is a joke.
Do you think we should? Because I think we're going to go in, because we've been at this for like, what, 2 hours now?
Yeah, and
hacking away.
This is like, I don't know. We're going to be halfway done from where we started, and I can only guess what great insight this gentleman's going to have into the ending and the logic and the reason. I mean, I don't think we're going to be on the level to even considering what this gentleman has to say. And I'm not saying that he's stupid. I'm not saying he's unintelligent. I just think his bias is so high, and his understanding of story is just, I'm sorry, it's just not there. I mean, I can deal with other people who have an understanding of science fiction. I mean, he obviously knew a little bit about Asimov. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But he's not understanding what those things mean, and he's not seeing the flaws for what they are. He's just defending everything.
Yeah, it's really bizarre because I actually agree with him in terms of his Mass Effect 2 one, which again went on for like 2 hours. So it was a bit of a stretch to go through. It's so like, I don't know. I don't want to call him contrarian, like being deliberately contrarian. Like Mass Effect 2 is really popular, therefore I hate it. And Mass Effect 3 is really hated, so therefore I like it. I don't want to go down that kind of path, but if I was a jackass, I'd do that kind of simple thing. So I think it's a bit more complex, but I think he's just focusing on just the good points and just deliberately ignoring all the bad points and kind of going, this is why this game's good, and there's only like 5 gems in there. And he's just ignoring the mountains of verbal diarrhea that's just come before it.
Okay, well, let's say, I got to do another stream in 45
You got to save
minutes.
your voice.
Yeah, I got to save my voice, that's true. But we can continue this next week because, we have lives and you guys have lives. And
well, I pretend to have a life.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just going to go back home now and eat a cold can of beans.
Yay. Well, okay, we'll do another 5 minutes. And if it gets better, we'll continue, but we'll finish up next week. How's that, guy? I think that's fair. We can only digest so much crap before our brain just goes, I can't believe this shit. So maybe after a week we'll get better and we'll finish it off. How's that? Okay, I think that's good.
The big choice at the end. If this all sounds too superficial, then again I'd have to wonder what you were expecting. The decisions have always played out this way. Nothing you did in Mass Effect 1 changed Saren's fate, however it affected the exact nature of it and who was on your team at the time. No matter what you did in Mass Effect 2, you still defeated the Collectors. The choices only affected the fate of your crew. The major decisions only ever affected what happened outside of the main events without changing the outcome itself for obvious reasons.
I just like
isn't that what I just stated with the Dragon Age ending?
Yeah,
like why?
It's like, dude, did you play the game? Did you see what happened to the Rachni? The outcome will always be the same. Yes, that's why it's a bad choice. What is like? There was supposed to be a big payoff for that. We were waiting 2 games for that. And it got reduced to, nope, no big deal.
Yep.
It's kind of like how, the end of The Force Awakens where she hands the lightsaber to Luke. And where we have the Rachni, not Thessia, but, she says, we'll come and save, we'll help stop the Reapers with you. It's like, okay, it's going to happen. I'm expecting a fleet of Rachni ships with all their weird tentacles and whatever coming out. It's like, nope. Nothing.
Whoop! Gone. Whoopsie daisy. There goes that plot thread.
Same with the ending of Mass Effect 2, whether you blew up or did not blow up the collector base. Same thing. No difference. It's as if he's undermining the concept of the game, of what the game is supposed to be. It's like, the outcome doesn't really matter. It's like, that's why we make a choice. That's why the galaxy's at stake. We want to save the galaxy. How do we do that? We make the right choices. And if the choices don't matter, then the game doesn't matter. The game is lying to us.
It's the same in Mass Effect 3. This is fairly common in games, even ones lauded for their freedom in decision making. What happens at the end of Fallout 1 isn't the culmination of every decision you made in the game.
That's because it's a different game. They weren't selling themselves on that.
Once again,
yeah. Like, why are we even thinking this way? We know what the game is. It has import saves. It's saying the choices are going to matter. We're going to have individual endings, and we get the same ending. Like, what? What is this guy? Where is he coming from?
You look at the variations of the Dragon Age Origins ending, like just the epilogue scene itself. Is just like, yeah, that's multiple variations. It's like, either way, the Archdemon's dead. It's like Mass Effect 3. Well, either way, the Reapers are still going to be around, and 2 of them. It's like, well, that's not what we wanted. We just wanted the Reapers to be gone, destroyed. And then just have the epilogue, have the after effects. What was the cost of this conflict? What new wars are going to start? What new alliances are going to be forged out of this?
Yeah, and
that's all.
Can you imagine if every choice you made just ended up with the Reapers killing you?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we subverted your expectations. Everyone just dies. Nope, doesn't matter what you did.
Yeah, rocks fall, everyone dies.
Like, that would have been fantastic because apparently choices don't really mean the outcome of choices don't.
There is no choice.
No, let's not go that route again.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
There's a few dialogue options and some stat checks, and you choose how you want to resolve the situation. The end of Mass Effect 3 lets you make huge decisions regarding the future of the galaxy. I'd say that's more than sufficient.
Yeah, but you don't. You just blow it up. You blow it up in 3 different colors that may or may not turn people into cyborgs, or blow up their toasters which have timers on them. Like, that's what we got.
Fallout 1 gave you slides with 1 line to describe the outcome of other decisions. Mass Effect 3 does much the same in the enhanced edit.
Yeah, but with poor content of what those slides mean and how they got there. Again, we can go back to Dragon Age Origins, how they did it, text on the screen, things happen to different factions based on your choices. Great, thank you. Not just, hey, baby Krogans, okay. Right. What else? Nothing. Miranda's staring at the sky. Okay. Like what is like,
What does it mean?
tell me what happened to her. Ugh.
This is another one of those complaints that I can sort of understand when looking at the original cut, which was bereft of information, but with the extended cut you're shown more than enough to feel like your story is complete.
This is true. You do get the denouement of the slideshow, but the slideshow just raises more questions. You don't want to raise more. You want to answer more questions, and you want to raise the an ending of a story. And a denouement is the point of that. You can have some endings be open, like Usual Suspects, like what happens to the one guy who gets away. Like what does he get away? Do the cops catch him up after they figure out who it is? You don't know, but that's fine because the reveal is made, and the story ends. It's like, oh. That's a different kind of story. With this, you have so many things happening, you have to have closure. You can't just have Miranda looking up at the sky and going, oh, that's life. You can't just have Samara and her daughters going, hey, flower. Oh. It's like, what? No.
It's like, yes, they live. I know they live because I let them live. Like, what? Okay. It's like
everyone lived because, yeah, it's just...
Both developers and consumers need to take some responsibility for this mess.
Consumers, really? I have to take responsibility? Okay, I won't buy their games ever again. How's that?
And considering that they'll be consistently lying to us, I won't be ever buying them ever again.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great consumer choice, I think.
Yeah, saving money. BioWare.
Yeah.
Good investment.
And I've done that. The only thing I think I bought was Lair the Shadow Broker. And after that, nothing. And, borrow, pirate, delete, whatever. Try for 10 minutes, whatever your ethics are. But my golly, do not give money to companies that lie to you.
Yeah, it's like the whole argument of, what was it now? It's like, if it's advertised as a steak, and you get a chicken breast, and then it's like, well, I ordered a steak because you advertised a steak. Well, you still got a chicken breast. It's like, yeah, but it's not what I ordered. It wasn't like the sign right there says steak. I wanted a steak. I paid for a steak.
Right.
And
now,
you gave me this.
The idea behind subversion is that you want to give someone what they want at the same time giving them something they weren't expecting. However, what they weren't expecting still has to be in the lines of what they want. So if you order a steak, and they say, hey, I'll give you half a steak and surprise chicken breast. You're like, well, okay, why am I being given this? It's not an 8-ounce steak, it's a 7-ounce steak, so I guess I'm not too angry, but okay, let's try the chicken. Hey, you know what? That chicken breast, that tastes really good. I wasn't expecting that. That's the kind of experience you want with subversion. Yeah. That's the kind you want to get what you want, what you paid for, and then you get something different that the chef or the creator is like, you're going to like this. I bet you your money or your money back. Because again, if you're at a restaurant, you can send it back and get your money back. That's how it works. That's the level of communication you get with the kitchen staff. If there's nothing you don't like, you get sent back to give you something else, or they won't charge you. That's how that works. In gaming, you're stuck. I guess you can do a return to some stores. You can get some money back, I guess, in some cases. But we can't do that with stories, and you shouldn't. The author, the creator, should be of a competency level that they are skilled enough and knowledgeable enough to make an experience that everyone wanted. Not to say every mystery they're going to know is before they play the thing, but choices matter. So make your choices matter. Make the Rachni matter. Make Tim be logical. Make him not have purple magic powers. It's just like what the fuck is going on? Make your enemies, make your antagonists believable, and not just sit there and just not kill you because you have to have your emotional moment with Caden. You don't do crap like that.
And publishers need to stop using bullshit quotes that don't mean much anyway, and consumers need to be more skeptical. I cannot count how many times I've seen people say a variation of "this is wrong because the developer said so."
But that's what they said. And that's not what happened. So why shouldn't we gauge them on that? Why can't we judge them on that? I say I'm going to give you a bucket of red paint. Hey, here's a chicken head. It's like, well, this is not what you said. Why should I trust you? I can't believe this guy is defending that. Like, what the hell? I can't. Let's rewind this. He actually said that.
Mess. Developers and publishers need to stop using bullshit quotes that don't mean much anyway, and consumers need to be more skeptical.
Okay, so Casey Hudson should shut his mouth, and we should be more skeptical. It's like, well, yeah, we're really skeptical now.
I cannot count how many times I've seen people say a variation of "this is wrong because the developer said so."
Yeah, that's completely 100% accurate and should be lauded as an important thing to remember. I can't believe that he just said this.
Stop believing everything you hear, especially in the lead up to release.
Oh my god. Yes, that's a good rule for marketing, but this is not marketing. This is literally Casey Hudson in an interview, giving quotes.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell's wrong with this guy? Oh yeah, don't believe the developer. It's like they're the guy who made the thing. They know it's
but then you fall into this trap of, well, who do you trust them for your reviews? The journalists who are obviously like they're obviously not going to say directly paid off, but they're obviously in bed with these people for all the exclusive accesses and interviews and things like that. So they are now influenced by it all. YouTubers can be easily influenced now thanks to EA's game changes and what have you, and they can be blacklisted from products. It's like, who do you trust then? The information that you've got is faulty. You're falling into the world of the Matrix now in terms of all your senses are telling you this is real, but you can't trust it.
Yeah, like the interview, not the interview, but the post experience of Mass Effect Andromeda. It was GameSpot or IGN. That girl, she was sitting back with everyone else after they went to the event, and she's like, it's really, really buggy. Like there were lots of problems. And she was talking about her experience with Assassin's Creed, how she didn't report how buggy it was, and it was released as a piece of crap. That was like 45 minutes into the live stream, and it was right near the end, and it was like, whoa, what? You were just giving it all this praise, it's all this big, blah blah, and it's just like, boom. So there are problems. Oh, thank you, Bad Courier 6. I appreciate that. But again, we're coming back next week, so save your praise. And
Part 2 for the smuddening.
the smuddening, where we just can't believe this gentleman is talking about. Don't believe the hype, but be skeptical when it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Oi.
To quickly address a few more complaints, a lot of people really hate how the intelligence takes the form of the child that Shepard saw die. He got the nickname Star Child. I don't get the anger here, it's just a projection. Yes, there are people closer to Shepard that the intelligence could have chosen, but then it would be like speaking to that person and not an AI.
It's a gimmick. It's a basic little thing. They wanted to tie into Shepard's mind, and it could scan his mind, and he's having dreams of the kid. And they tried to play with the idea that Shepard's in pain and he's suffering, and this image represents humanity, and he's trying to save it and all this crap, but it doesn't work because Shepard is not like traumatized. He's not like, oh my god, humanity is talking to me, or there's a parallel. Nope, Shepard's a brick. It's just a kid. That's it. No symbolism, no imagery, no depth. They set it up to have that, and they didn't use it. This is how you know they don't know what they're doing. They literally set something up and they forgot about it or didn't bother with it. Or they're expecting us to say, hey, isn't that the kid from the beginning? And isn't that the kid from his dreams? I wonder what it means. And it means nothing. It literally, they could have just said, or Shepard going, I know you, and it's just like he forgets. Or they could have done dozens of things with that. Imagery.
They could have done contact. It's like, I take this image for your father because it's like
something, anything basic. Yes. It's like, oh, thank you. You're intelligent enough to tell me what the hell is going on in this science fiction world where holograms are now from dreams and how and why. It's just, we take these forms to help you understand.
It could have even kind of gone, right, okay, you're hunched over there and your head's mostly leaning down. If I presented myself as like Anderson or Miranda or someone else that probably died, you're going to have to lift your head up and it's going to be quite painful. So, and we don't really want midget Anderson running around, so it's going to look weird. So I just picked this form. You know, it's just pure practicality, mate. It's just for your own benefit.
Yeah, it's also the connection between the game audience and the character on screen. You want there to be a symbol, not a symbolism, a parallel, that the information you have is the same as the information they have. And of course Shepard would have this information. Of course he'd be like, hey, you look really familiar. It's like, no shit. I've seen the dreams you've been having, buddy. Yeah, I saw the kid you tried to save. It's like,
it's like G-Man in Half-Life. You see like catch. It's like if they were really to press this idea of the child being the representation of Shepard's failure in terms of protecting humanity, then you would have seen the child in the battlefield, like, and Shepard kind of going like, what, like it would be there in the background, like flickering in and out.
That would be an awesome hallucination, and in relation to post-traumatic stress, and it's like there's like as the story progresses, it gets worse and worse.
Yeah,
but they did nothing with it.
If you don't come to terms with it, then it can actually affect your mission and things. And people like going, Shepard, like, what the hell are you doing? You're going catatonic, you know.
That would have been like the same thing they did with I'm trying to remember the thin red line or red line Battlefield, not Battlefield, the game where it was pretty much about PTSD, and they had elements where as the game progressed, as you got hit or as you did headshots, the voice of the character you were playing would be more aggressive, where it just came to the point where he was just swearing. He's just like, fuck. Every time he did a headshot, it was just like constant, like he was going down this path. And that's through gameplay. That's a very subtle way of presenting that emotional state of the character through gameplay. It's brilliant. And that was one of the things they mentioned in one of his talks that he was giving, how they focused on that just to give that element. And we have nothing like that in Mass Effect, even though they have 3 dream sequences as the story progresses. But Shepard's still a brick. It doesn't affect him. It's just like, dreams, whatever. Tessia, whatever. Kid on weird platform, which I have no understanding of time and space. Yeah, okay, you're the Reaper God. Sure thing. It's
like the droids out of Futurama. It's like he has just 2 settings, brick and feel sad at this moment. It's like, and like it just goes beep bop boop. I am Commander Shepard. I feel sad now. Beep bop boop. I feel normal now.
Yeah, it's just this lack of depth with Shepard when this was the opportunity to finally give him some depth, aside from liking Caden. Because you can. I mean, that was the big thing. It's like Shepard has been heterosexual mostly throughout the story, and all of a sudden, boom, he can be gay. It's like, okay, fine, whatever, I don't care. But no build-up. This is the opposite, where they have build-up and they don't do anything with it. Yeah, anyway. Let's keep going.
Imagine if the intelligence took the form of whoever you let die on Vermeer.
I would have loved that. That would have been, I think that would have been a way better. Because that means throughout all this time, Shepard's still thinking about it. I think that would have been great. It wouldn't be as resonant because you'd have to play the first game, but still.
Yeah, I think you would like through like the comms and things like that. You would have still heard, let's say, the cries Ashley or Caden like doing.
Oh God, yeah, that would be brilliant.
In the earpiece, and he's just like, "Oh, good lord," you know, that would have been interesting.
And he's trying to save people and carrying them, and Ashley
every now and then.
Yeah, he sees Ashley or Caden get hit, and he's carrying her. He's like, "Why didn't I do this on Verma?" Or something like that. Yeah. You know, brilliant, fantastic, so easy to do. A freaking voice clip. They did voice clips in the dreams. Why couldn't they do it in the game? I don't know.
It would feel like you're talking to Caden.
And that could have actually been a part of the ending in terms of, let's say, I'm not going down the direction, but let's say, you know, Shepard's guilt is basically starting to barrel down on her, and you're like, you can just start to feel that overwhelming pressure. That's just coming at you. It's just all these voices just overwhelming you.
And instead of just walking down that corridor of dead bodies, he's seeing those dead bodies as faces of people he's lost or has killed.
Yeah.
And he's like he keeps shaking his head. He's like, what is that? And it goes away. And he keeps walking and it happens again. He's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
That would have been a psychological impact that would have made people go, whoa, what is going on here? Something. Yes. And that would have, I would have preferred that, because then it would have showed a build up to this kid who can just read Shepard's mind and pull up images of things that happened to him. And it's experimenting with trying to get that connection. Because again, this kid has been asleep forever. It's waking up. It's trying to interface with this alien species. Like, all right, let me try this. Yeah, you're a human. You got a brain. All right, cool. That would have like, oh, something is going to happen. It's going to be weird. And we're getting weird. And not to say that the walking up to the beam and the platform wasn't weird. It was weird, but it was like, how? Why? When? Where? Like, everything just doesn't make any sense. But if you have hallucinations, we're like, oh, okay, indoctrination, PTSD, Shepard's losing blood. There's all these possible reasons, and then it gets boom, kid, brain. Oh my god! Not to say that would have solved it, but it would have been more impactful.
Just thought of an idea, actually. This is like a very specific scene. Like, imagine like the catalyst kind of going, you could have saved them all, and then Shepard turns to his left, and you see the Vermar survivors and goes, you couldn't save them. It's like, whoa, like, holy hell. Or like kind of going, you could have saved me. Like, there was actually a way, but Shepard didn't see the opportunity there at the time. Like, there was an actual way to save him. Like, not in the game, obviously, but you know what I mean.
And I really, really disliked, after Shepard collapses and he gets brought up the magical elevator, he just stands up. He's like, I'm not bleeding. I'm good. I'll just sort of hunch over. Everything's fine. It's like, where did this second wind come? Like, you were just barely getting by. Now all of a sudden you're fine.
You must have picked a walnut. You must have picked up a mushroom. Like Super Mario mushroom.
One of those Van Damme second winds. He just like wakes up. Whoa, okay, I can fight more. It's like,
maybe he was actually in cover and he regenerated his health.
Oh, yeah, that little platform that popped up out of nowhere, just sort of. He's got infinite ammo. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Fit because you hardly spoke to them, but they still left an impact on Shepard. The dream sequences themselves are terrible, and perhaps that's where the hate comes from.
Interesting. He doesn't like the dream sequence. Wow. What a criticism. I didn't really care for them myself, but it's like they were a thing, and they're all in your head, so you can get away with anything you like. But why are they terrible? They had like whispers of like, if you killed Miranda, or you got some people killed in Mass Effect 2, you heard those whispers. I thought that was a cool that's a freaky element. They had this entire 4-minute track or 5-minute track of all the dead people that Shepard went through, and they're like whispering to you. That was creepy. That was, I mean, it has some artistic merit, and because it's a dream, you can get away with that crap. But he's saying they're done poorly. Like, what? This guy is like, I love Casey Hudson, but the dream sequences are bad. The ending's great. It's like, whoa, where are you going with it?
I'd guess the dreams were added in late. Perhaps BioWare was worried players wouldn't remember the child from the beginning of the game without the reminders. That might be true, but their solution is to make the opening scene more impactful, not force in these pointless dreams.
Okay, so they're pointless to him. So if you take away the dreams, the only instance of the kid would be the beginning, and then Shepard would not be waking up in the middle of the night going, then the kid would be like, why is the kid here? Why is there a holographic image of a kid I barely met for two minutes? Like, that would be really weird. But the fact that the kid is in the dreams shows that there's something going on in Shepard's brain that he doesn't really realize. Maybe he's stupid. Maybe he doesn't care about dreams. Who knows? But there's something in his subconscious that's telling him something. And then for the Reaper God thing to figure that out and bring him out is like, oh, great. That doesn't mean anything because the story didn't do anything with it, but it was set up that way. And he wants to get rid of the dreams. This guy who thinks the ending's great. I was like, what are you talking about?
I think the dream sequences, actually, just as an idea, would be like as if, let's say, you had to replay through levels that came before, but you're actually just watching the other. If, let's say, people died in your previous playthroughs, you're actually playing through it again, but you're watching them die. And every time they die, every time you get close to them, you kind of wake up, or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
I'm thinking of Metal Gear Solid 3, where they have the crazy demo of another game by Konami or whatever that Kojima threw in there, where you're wielding blades and you're spinning around and killing zombies. I thought that, what the hell is going on?
Oh yeah, let's just go full Konami.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Kojima.
There's things you can and shouldn't do, and that's one of them. It's like, whoa, Kojima, no. So to get rid of that element is startling. It's I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I tend to shy away from dreamscapes in stories just because it makes things more confusing, but it didn't really break anything in the story. It didn't really add much. It added something, but it wasn't anything bad. It made it a bit more confusing if you wanted to interpret them, but that's what the dreams are anyway, so who cares? But to eliminate them completely undermines the image of the kid at the ending. And if you're going to get rid of that, then just get rid of the kid in general. And yeah, bring up the love interest as a ghost, or bring up the Vermeer survivor as the ghost child. Whatever. Why not? Sure. But then that means the ending is flawed. So, I don't know. This guy.
Another one of the memes doing the rounds takes the Mass Effect ending and considers how it would play out in Lord of the Rings, in an attempt to show how stupid it is. Instead of destroying the ring...
Yeah, imagine if Sauron was like, yeah, listen, right, I created these rings to save you all, and that's why I tried to conquer you all, and yeah, makes sense. Imagine like talking that to the Archdemon. Imagine the Archdemon going, whoa, before you jam that sword into my skull, I have to say a few things, I'm not the bad guy here. Those people are the bad guy. You are the bad guys, and I'm trying to save you all. Like, you'd be like, you what? What?
Frodo would have the option.
So now he's attacking memes. He's not attacking the ending. He's attacking these memes.
He's attacking the meme,
Option to control evil, merge good and evil, or destroy evil plus all dwarves die. Again, despite being an old man by YouTuber standards, I do understand that memes are jokes. However, this seems to have come from a serious place and is used to constantly critique the ending of Mass Effect 3.
And they're accurate. Again, if they're wrong, prove them wrong. Go ahead.
To state the obvious, the comparison is largely nonsense. The instead of destroying the ring bit doesn't work because one of the options in Mass Effect 3 is to destroy the Reapers, which is the equivalent of destroying the ring.
But it doesn't come at... Right, when Frodo threw the ring in, it wasn't like, oh yeah, all Gondorians are going to die, or the Rohirrim are going to die. There was none of that. Absolutely none. There was nothing in that. When I defeated the Archdemon, it wasn't like, yeah, but the elves that you risked your life to save for, they're all dead now. All the Dalish elves are going to be dead. It's like, do you not understand the impact of what you're actually saying? Do you understand? Did you actually play the game?
Yeah, the comparison is pretty apt. I don't know what they're nonsense. Like, dude, no, they're accurate. They're pretty close. They can be reduced to the same thing. It's okay. Let's keep attacking that meme.
Similarly, merging synthetics and organics isn't the same as merging good and evil.
They are good and evil. The Reapers are evil. Everything else is good by that comparison.
Yeah. One side's offering genocide and the other doesn't want to be genocided. Yeah. But then again, if you do destroy, then the Reaper's just like, yeah, you can genocide us at any given time. We don't like it, but we'll be a bit miffed about it. But, hey ho, diddly-o, Catalyst said so. It's like they have no independence or will.
It's like you call them A or B. It doesn't matter if they're good or evil. It doesn't it's two parties, Reapers and everyone not Reapers. Why can't you see this, sir? This isn't even logic. This is just, what is a variable? Okay, the variable A contains this series. The variable b contains this series. A and b are equal. Okay, that's it. That's as complicated as that logic series gets. Can't do it. Nope, it's nonsensical. Okay.
If you think that, then you've misunderstood huge chunks of what Mass Effect is all about.
No, it's not what Mass Effect is all about. It's literally the variable of Reapers and evil and good and everyone else. Do you want me to draw it? I can draw it. Look, I'll take my notepad. Here we go. Very, very simple. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, variable A. Good equals everyone not Reapers. Bad or evil is equal Reapers. Done. That's it. There we go. And what was the quote? Merge good and evil?
Yeah, merge good and evil to make neutral. Those evil neutral people in their bait. There's going to be a beige alert.
I mean, like what? Like this is pretty obvious. I
So-
don't.
Even the chat stopped. I think it's just stopped in awe of just like this level of stupidity that's just come over us.
Well, okay, maybe he doesn't get the logic. That's fine, but I don't understand. Like, it's not hard to see that. Okay, let's just keep going. We're just going to be sitting there in awe. Like, whoa.
Oh yeah, we've only got a minute and a half left. Good.
The destroy evil plus all dwarves die thing is just odd. I get that it's supposed to be an exaggeration, but it's a bit silly.
It's not an exaggeration.
Best part, however, is the option for Frodo to use the ring to control evil. This is supposed to be mocking Mass Effect by showing how ridiculous that would be in Lord of the Rings, but like that's a fairly big part of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Frodo continuously wrestles with the desire to use the ring himself.
Yes, and we see
Yes.
the personification of Tim, who
Saren and everyone else that joins with the Reapers.
yes, it's a common theme.
Everyone who joins with the Reapers ends up becoming under their control and ends up getting killed.
And even though we
No.
just defeated Tim minutes ago, we're now becoming him. It's worse than irony. It's just,
How do you miss that?
how do you miss that? Are you playing another game? Okay, we have 45 seconds, then we're going to stop at 120 because this is just ridiculous now.
The final complaint I'll address is the lack of a big boss battle. There was a boss fight at the end of the first two games, so I guess the expectation of another one makes sense, although to me Mass Effect was always about conversation and choices. So a final conversation and then a big choice seems like a fitting end to the series. I've addressed these common disputes not to tell people they're wrong, not entirely anyway, but to show why I don't hate the ending. None of these common criticisms really sit right with me, and given that this has been a hot button issue for 7 years now, it would have been silly to not address them.
Okay, well, the ending with a boss battle is not a really big deal.
Yeah, it's,
I don't really care. I think the joke was with Casey saying it was too video gamey to have a boss, and that was a meme. But it's not essential. I mean, if Tim was a boss, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But how the hell would you do a boss with Ghost Child? I mean,
just
why
blowing
would he
away.
stop you so he can let you control them? It's like, oh, you've passed me. Now you can control me. It's like, what? No, that's stupid. So I don't know. It's not a big deal, really.
And I admit in part it was to preempt some of the inevitable comments I will undoubtedly get in response to a defence of the ending. I guarantee you, despite having directly addressed it, I will still get people telling me that the ending doesn't make sense because Shepard proved that synthetics and organics could live in peace.
That's true.
After Mass Effect 2, BioWare's reputation was higher than ever, and many fans of the developer simply refused to believe BioWare could make such a mess of things.
And they did.
Boy, were we wrong.
Okay, so we're at 120.06.
Yeah, I think we better.
Yeah, I'll just write that down. Not on here.
We're gonna have like aneurysms right here. We're gonna be cat ones on the medical vans.
Yeah, I'm so glad I didn't download this and do it myself because I would have just hurt myself. This is a lot healthier, a lot faster, and I have my cohort to help filter my rage. So thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been good few hours. I'm going to be right back in 10 minutes talking about The Last Jedi and Eric Kane's third attempt to explain that Rey is not a Mary Sue again.
Huzzah! Always good times.